Welcome. Is Christianity normalized witchcraft? Is it? We will find out here in a minute. I know, I have nothing better to do. Let me turn off my light and put my normal music. Welcome to the live stream. Clear Waters, this is your channel, having a little bit of fun. Hopefully you have a sense of humor. Captain Skeleton Man, yes, please, once I'm done with the presentation, you are more than welcome to join me on the Discord. So we're gonna talk about if Christianity is normalized witchcraft. I'm gonna do a presentation and I don't know. You will see it from my view, my point of view. So let's jump to it right away. Let me just double check my audio, make sure that it's working. Yes. And there's a Discord link at the bottom of the screen and on the chat that you can call me to have a conversation. You can ask me questions, you can push back on what I'm saying, you can have a conversation. So once I'm done with the presentation. So let's jump to it right away. Thank you for everybody that is joined the live stream right now. Let's lower the music. So why I'm asking this question, is Christianity normalized witchcraft? Why? Why am I asking this question? Is there something to talk about? Am I trying to be offensive? Trying to, I don't know, get back to people that believe in God? No. Why am I asking this question? I might know a little bit about this topic. So The similarities in witchcraft practices. In this presentation, I'm looking at the similarities between Christianity, voodoo, and Santeria. We can do this with other religions, but what for? So all of these religions, or whatever you want to call them, all involve some combination of rituals and ceremonies, sacrifices and offerings, spirits and supernatural beings, prayer, spells, or supernatural requests, sacred objects and ritual objects, prophecy and supernatural revelation, blessings, curses, and protection, exorcisms, and spiritual warfare. So there are similarities between Christianity, voodoo, and Santeria that someone could probably see witchcraft among all three of them. Or am I making stuff up? There are no rituals or ceremonies, sacrifices and offerings in Christianity. Of course there are. So let's look at 5 points and look at these similarities. Number 1, sacrifices and offerings. In Christianity, Jesus is presented as the ultimate sacrifice for the forgiveness of sins, the Lamb of God who gave his life for others. In the Old Testament Judaism, animal sacrifices were explicitly commanded as offerings to God. Abraham was also commanded to offer Isaac, although God ultimately stopped him and provided a ram instead. Sacrifices, yes. Voodoo and Santeria also has animal sacrifices. Animal sacrifice is practiced in some traditions as an offering to spirit deities, often associated with requests, ceremonies, thanksgiving, or religious obligations. Yes, Christianity, like witchcraft, and also voodoo and Santeria, all of them have sacrifices. Maybe you didn't know that. You're finding out right now. So let's continue with number 2 of these 5 points. Similarities. Number 2, chants, songs, and repetitive recitations. Let me move myself out of the way on the vertical, sorry. There you go. So in Christianity, repeated prayers, hymns, liturgical responses, worship songs, and scripted religious recitations. Repetitions is sometimes used as part of devotional or ceremonial practice. You know what I'm talking about, right? Voodoo and Santeria also have ritual songs, chants, drumming, and repeated phrases as used during ceremonies. These may accompany invocations, offerings, and attempts to communicate with or honor spirits and deities. Very extremely similar to Christianity. I thought, and maybe you also thought, that this was a joke, right? You're finding out right now. Let's go with number 3. Supernatural protection and healing rituals. Christianity, prayers for healing, protection, and deliverance. Also prayers for sending those pesky unbelievers to you know where, the hell. anointing with oil and laying on of hands, exorcisms, and prayers intended to remove demonic influence. In Voodoo and Santeria, they have rituals intended to obtain healings, protection, or relief from spiritual harm. Use of ceremonies, sacred objects, herbs, offerings, and other ritual practices appeals to spirits or deities for intervention. Just like Christianity, this Christianity is sounding more and more like witchcraft. Sacrifices, ceremonies, talking to spirits and demons. No joke. Number 4 out of 5, sacred objects and ritual items. In Christianity, they have crosses, crucifixes, statues, candles, prayer beds, anointing oil, holy water, and the book. Remember? The book. Named the Bible. Sorry, believers, I forgot. It's the Word of God. It's just a book. Sacred objects and texts are used in worship, prayer, blessings, and religious rituals. In Voodoo and Santeria, statues, beads, candles, herbs, ritual vessels, sacred objects, and other consecrated items. These objects are used in ceremonies and religious practices involving spirits and deities, just like in Christianity. I think my picture about Christianity being witchcraft is more clear than before once I was preparing this live stream. Number 5 and final point. Ritual prayer and invocation. In Christianity, prayers addressed to God, Jesus, or the Holy Spirit. Repeated prayers, scripted prayers, and religious formulas. Invoking God's name for healing, protection, blessings, or intervention. In Voodoo and Santeria, they also have prayers, invocations, chants, and ritual formulas directed towards spirits and deities. Requests for protection, healing, guidance, and blessings or intervention. Sounds to me like witchcraft. Absolutely. So, the big question is Christianity normalized witchcraft? Given the striking similarities in these practices, I would say yes, Christianity, witchcraft. Christianity can be understood as another form of supernatural ritualism that, through centuries of tradition, cultural acceptance, coercion, and indoctrination, has become normalized. What might be considered bizarre, irrational, or even witchcraft outside Christianity can become completely acceptable once it is given a religious label. In my point of view, if you are involved in worshiping spiritual beings, performing rituals, or interacting with spirits, then you are involved in the practice of witchcraft under a different name, Christianity. Wake up! So, that is my presentation for tonight. And of course, thank you for listening. May you be covered by the blood of Jesus. My evil laugh never works, man. Yep. I think that by now it's okay. It's okay, my friend. You can stop pretending. This is witchcraft. You were persuaded probably because someone took advantage of a moment that you were feeling low and you grabbed this god virus of witchcraft. But it's okay now. You can stop pretending. You can stop this participation in this witchcraft. You don't longer have to do it. Whoever did this to you, whoever introduced you to this witchcraft, man, you can forgive that person. Probably they thought they were doing something good to you. But now you know that is not. Getting involved with talking to spirits, demons, entities, invisible entities, especially from other countries, is not good, my friend. This is witchcraft, like other religions that do the same thing, just like Christianity. So enjoy the slideshow so you can see a little bit of the similarities. Maybe some of these images you're not able to tell which one is Christianity or which one is voodoo or which one is Santeria. I know a little bit of what I'm talking about here. Why do I say that? Because I was a believer for many years, in case you don't know me. And of course, if you have been listening to my live stream, I have said before that I even had family members that were part of this religion of Santeria. Thanks to honesty and transparency, or maybe thanks to Chulum, they are no longer part of this. Apparently, they came to their senses, and they're like, man, what are we doing? Talking to spirits and demons? So they're no longer part of these witchcraft practices. Family. Yep. I saw them involved in this stuff. I didn't have to convince them. They came to their senses by themselves. Thank you. Honesty and transparency. So let's jump to the chat and let's open the phone lines for anybody that wants to call in. Mr. Christopher, I think you are Captain Skeleton Man. Let me unmute you. Hold on. Hello, Christopher and Nick. Nick, I think you're muted, so let me just double check. Yeah, you're unmuted. Anytime you want to unmute yourself.
Hello, hey, Clearwaters. How are you doing?
Good, good. Yourself?
I am doing wonderful, thank you.
Awesome.
I had stumbled across your little thing here. Yeah, I am the Captain Skeleton Man guy on YouTube. Yeah, and I have Discord every once in a while.
You
I
are
jump on different.
I'm sorry. You're unmuted now. I don't have to unmute you anymore. So anytime you want to join and have a conversation, just join the Discord.
Okay, great. So yeah, I agree with you to a certain extent, though, Clearwaters, to a certain extent. Like I was raised in Roman Catholicism. I don't know if that same religion you were in. Is that the same?
Yes, Roman Catholic, Christian. Those were my beliefs.
Yes, I was in it, and I was also in the strict kind where we spoke Latin. We had Latin masses. I used to be a server. Were you ever a server? I carried the cross.
Not exactly, but I was part of the youth group, prayer group. I would help at church. I was part of the choir, so I spent quite a lot of time at church.
Oh, you were part of the choir as well?
Yes, yes.
Oh, cool. I never was the choir. My mother was in the choir, and my father, but I never got to the choir part. I didn't think I could sing very well.
Me neither, but I did it anyway.
Yeah. I make music now, though, on my channel. I actually make music and stuff.
Awesome.
So I agree with you, like I said, to a certain extent, because I actually study linguistics. I've been doing it for 40 years, and I've been reading all holy books, books they call holy books, to analyze the actual language that's being used and the etymology and the meaning of what words were. And you are very clear in the expression that the church fathers, early church fathers, and within Christianity today, they have taken words that were written in ancient times and have concocted in imagination things of hocus pocus that do not reflect the actual word that is being written by the scribe. An example is this word angel. An angel came from the Hebrew word malach. And malach is a messenger or a prophet, which you would call a prophet, a messenger. These were human beings. Later, the Greeks took the word malach, translated into angelos. They started depicting artwork of winged creatures and spiritual beings that come from heaven. And so they've corrupted the actual word, and now it becomes fantasy land where you're going to be praying to things that don't exist, because they're actually human beings, they're men. That's what a messenger, malach, angel was. So now in religions today, even in this new Christianity, because I was seeing that guy's comment, he's saying, oh, that's Catholicism. No, you guys have doctrines within Christianity, and I can prove it, that are so corrupted. And I usually do this, Clearwaters. I go on people's podcasts, Muslims and Christians and Jews, and I expose their belief through linguistics. For example,
I'll take it that you're not a believer, or are you a believer?
I am a believer, but not in what they believe in. That is, to me, like you were saying, that's a form of Santanus, which is very ancient. That's one of the first cults back in Noah's day. So when you see the thing where it says the sons of God took daughters from amongst the men, what that actually means linguistically is that the elders who had more knowledge and wisdom than the younger men, and the younger men had daughters, but they weren't as old. The old men used to take these women, the daughters, and then they would bear children with them, and they would teach them crazy witchcraft ideologies. And it became so foul that people started to devour one another, to create war and fight with each other. And that's how it became so bad that the flood happened. So there are certain attributes to the stories that I believe are real, but it's the way that they're being told is completely fabricated hocus pocus.
How do you determine where's the line? Where or when was that line crossed?
Okay, so in ancient days, before the flood, the line would have been crossed when you read that the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So as a Catholic, I don't know if you knew this, and a lot of people don't. Even when I talk to Christians today, the word God, which is originally Elohim, it means many, and that many is referring to 7 spirits. So logically and reasonably, what the scribes are writing is 7 spirits, which is life, counsel, knowledge, understanding, wisdom, power. And power meaning not hocus pocus. Power means if I were to tell you, let's go to the bridge and jump off the bridge, you have enough wisdom and knowledge and counsel as you grew up and learned, no, that's not a good idea. So I have power over the person who thinks this is a good idea. That's what the power means, in the sense. Doesn't mean magic or anything that you can do things other than what a human can do. You just have logic and reasoning over someone who's unintelligent and illogical in what they're doing. And then you have fear of the...
Go ahead, finish your thought. Go ahead.
And then you have fear of the Lord, which is the fear of the very life you have itself. So if you lack counsel, and by the way, we get counsel, first thing we get counsel from was our parents. Our parents is the ones that teach us how to actually speak, how to do anything. Not a God, your parents, but your God did give you life. But God never counseled a baby because babies don't understand. The parents actually are the first people to give you counsel, and then you start growing in knowledge and understanding and wisdom. As you get older, you begin to do this. So we
So
eat from this tree of knowledge of good and evil. So we start to learn, you know, to do, we could steal off somebody or we don't have to steal off somebody. That's a choice, a free will that you can do. It's a bad thing to do. It's not a devil doing it. You're doing it.
so Christopher, sorry to interrupt you. So, bring it back to the topic at hand, normalize witchcraft Christianity. Do you think that Christianity, in a way, is practicing witchcraft?
Most definitely today, because
Why do you think people that are practicing this witchcraft under the name Christianity, they're not aware of it?
Well, because they've never actually studied their book. They just listen to some guy from a podium tell them the interpretation and meaning of something. I could refer to you. Here's a clear thing for Christians to understand. If you go to Amos, chapter 5, verse 21 through 23, you'll love this. Look at what Amos says about all the things that you were talking about: prayers, sacrificing, magic, spells, all these things. Look what Amos says, which is found in the Torah. And literally he's telling you that the seven spirits, which is basically the logic of human being reasoning, is telling you that these things are not good, and that the Creator himself never required you to do any of these things. It even asks the question in that verse. It says, who has required these things for me? Who told you to do these things? I never required any of these things for you to do. So who's doing it?
So
that was a mystery.
Let's clarify something. There's some viewers that are believers right now that they are saying, no, this is Christianity is not witchcraft. But I just made a presentation where it's absolutely clear the similarities between, for example, Christianity, voodoo, and Santeria, which people mostly define as being witchcraft, voodoo and Santeria. So why do you think believers, Christians, keep saying, no, this is not witchcraft, when I just demonstrated the similarities with other religions that are doing witchcraft? What do you think is that?
Let's look at it like this, in a manner of societies and culture of people. So in ancient days, they always had, somebody that was the head of their tribe, and or even within voodoo, they have witch doctors, all these different things where one individual could be the interpretation for the whole community. And the whole community, kind of lacking in seven spirits, just start following somebody's ideologies, and it just becomes their culture. And the child gets born into it, and the parents teach the child the same thing, and it's just a repetitious thing over and over and over again. But if you come across somebody like me or somebody like you who starts to think with their brain and takes a look at what society has been teaching as a mainstream of something, we start to question it. These people are not awake, I don't believe, to question another human being. Even though, even in their book, it says for them to test every spirit, meaning every man's philosophy, every man's interpretation of something. You're supposed to question all those things, whether that is sound or not.
So maybe what you're saying right now is a bit of what I said at the end of the presentation, where part of the text that I wrote at the end says that Christianity can be understood as another form of supernatural ritualism that, through centuries of tradition, cultural acceptance, coercion, and indoctrination, has become normalized.
Correct. Yes, that's what it is. And that's what it is. That's why they will always say, but our church fathers said this. Well, who's your church? Which church fathers? Who are they? A bunch of dead men today? They're not even in the living anymore. And you're going to follow a bunch of dead guys who had made false claims. And now that, I'm older and I look at the words, literally looking at the words, they do not match the proper interpretation of what religions are teaching. It's absolutely insane. I'm telling you. If only you knew. If you knew what I knew linguistically, you would be able to create this point way better. Like I could bring you up verses.
I think that I have mentioned before that if someone believes in this information, Christianity from the Bible, everything, all the information that you're not getting it from a God, you're getting it from someone else. And that person or that group of people could be lying, could be probably mistaken. Probably they didn't have the proper knowledge and they were making stuff up. And people today apparently accepted this information, probably and most likely because of some emotional reason and not something that is rational or logical.
Right. But we have to look at one thing with that, right? So that's one spectrum of something with the book and men writing books. You know, the book Applied Mathematics book, if Applied Mathematics was written as a book and we were to read it, it would have truths. It would be true. So I'm not saying that the books, this is where, when you were asking me if I believe, I'm not saying the books are wrong. I'm saying that those experiences that men had, that they wrote about, those are correct. It's other men coming along, reading those books, interpreting those books, which gives you the witchcraft ideology, which gives you the practice of some kind of ritual that is not actually in the book itself. That's not being said, and people don't know that. You know, it's a lack of knowledge. Education is very. I mean, I don't even think we really have education anymore in the world properly. I think most education in the world is just about getting a job to make money, to keep the economies going. It has nothing to do with common sense and to use your brain for, proper judgments of the world.
But
Christopher, and this is where they get caught.
Yeah. So apparently, from what you're saying, you think that the original text or the original message is correct or is real? Is that what you're saying?
It's correct in the meaning. And sometimes like through transliteration. So you'll have let's say an original text is Aramaic, for instance. Then you have another group of people who are not even part of their culture whatsoever or their belief system. So let's take the Romans and the Greeks now. Now they were polytheists. They worshiped planets, Jupiter. Here the Israelites were Aramaic speaking people, and they worshiped something completely different than these Greeks and Romans. But now all of a sudden, the Romans and the Greeks see that there's a large crowd of people wanting to follow a certain way. So they look at this in the authority. They're like, oh, well, wait, if this is profitable, if this is some way that we can control people, let's get involved into it. So what the Greeks did is they started making translations from these texts and corrupted the words. For instance, the word Moloch in Israelite culture, that's a human being. It was given as a priest. A priest was called a Moloch. Later on, the Greeks translate that into angelos. So now we have a supernatural entity that comes from heaven that is not even the original word meaning. Are you following me so far? So I point out sometimes to Christians, even in their own book, first in John chapter 3, verse 13, it literally tells you in the Greek that no one, no thing other than the Son of God, the Son of Man, has ascended or descended from heaven, meaning Jesus Christ to them being the Son of Man. So if that's true, if only the flesh vessel Jesus and then the inhabited HaKodesh Spirit, which is the Son of God, came, descended and ascended, and I ask the Christian, where does angels come from? You know what they'll say, right? They come from heaven. Well, here's a verse in your own book that says, no, that's not true. No one and no thing. And the Greek word there is oidos, O-U-D-E-I-S. And that literally means no male, no female, and no thing, no entity other than this one.
Oh, sorry, Christopher. Welcome, Robert, Skeptic Philosophy, and welcome, Gudra. You're more than welcome to join the conversation. Christopher, I have a question for you. Before I forget the question, I was listening to you, but it seems to me that you recognize that because of the corruption of the information, people are doing some type of witchcraft with this information, or, you know, corrupted the whole thing, original message. But
Yes.
you still believe in spiritual beings, invisible spiritual beings.
Well, the word spirit there again is a corruption, right? So when you say, if the Greek says pneuma, that's not the actual ruch.
So
So
what is the
Hebrew,
original? What is the original?
Okay, so life, the ruch itself is just meaning life, the breath of life. We can test that, we can observe that, we can repeat that, right? That's a real thing. Life is a real thing in the flesh of a human being. So that's not necessarily what people would call a spirit. So I want to remind you, by the way, that Romans, the Greeks and the Romans at the time, the word that they knew as spirit, before they created a word pneuma based off the ruch, they only had a word called phantasma. And phantasma was somebody that had died, and then now their ghost is coming out of the ground. And they used to have oracles that would make bones in caves with candlelight, pull it on pulleys, and there would be all these oracles that would speak things in a cave that would echo in a cave, and people would think that they were hearing their loved ones from the grave, and they called this word phantasma. But later they changed it. They no longer use phantasma. Now the Greeks are using a word called pneuma. And now they've created a spirit can be something tangible. A spirit was never, according to the Israelite culture, it was never something tangible. It was always understood as an emotion like hate, anger. These were called cherubim, but they are not, in the sense of the word pneuma, it became spirit, but they are things that are just emotions. They never were tangible entities, if you can understand what I mean. Like love, hate, and anger were cherubim. You struggled as a human. You struggled with these things. Jealousy, if jealousy entered into you, you controlled it too as well. That's what he said to Cain. Cain, sin lies at your door, but you're the master of it. If jealousy rises in your heart, you don't have to act upon it. You can cast it away and do good works rather than bad works. So that's all logical and that's all reasonable. And that's all testable, observable, and repeatable. But they have made it into the, like you saying, this hocus pocus fantasy land that becomes as like witchcraft. Now, in the beginning, witches, for I don't know if you're aware of, but witchcraft in the very beginning even changed. Beginning witchcraft, the knowledge of what people had was like they had knowledge about plants, and they could make different medicines, and they could make poisons and stuff like that. They were just a real highly intelligent, knowledgeable people. But later on, another group, for instance, let's say a guy learns something about chemistry, so he goes and makes a bomb, and he uses it for wicked work, evil. So now he becomes a Satan or a Satan, adversary to truth. Some people could use chemicals to help somebody, you know, get over an allergy or get over a illness.
Can I stop you? Because there's a lot to unpack here. And I think you're using a lot of these words in ways that scholarship disagrees with you. And I've been trying to write them down.
I am a scholar, by the way. I hope
Okay,
you know that.
Then you wouldn't have said Moloch was based off of a person. Most of
I never said Moloch at all, did I? Did I say the word Moloch, Clearwater?
Earlier,
Moloch was a god. Moloch was a god.
Moloch was
the god of fire, and they offered children sacrificing to a statue known as Moloch, which is the fire god.
That's.
But I never mentioned that,
though.
Yes,
Modern scholarship does not think that Moloch was a god. Modern scholarship thinks that it is a type of sacrifice, specifically a child sacrifice, not a character.
Child sacrifice. Exactly. I just said they made a statue. The statue is not God. It's the act of what they were doing, which was child sacrificing to what? Fire. They throw these things in a volcano. They take children and literally cut out their hearts and throw them in volcanoes to appease Moloch.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's not a Moloch god. I'm telling you, the scholarship is pretty clear on this now. Critical scholarship, there's several books written on it. Moloch is a type of sacrifice. It just is a type of sacrifice. And it's believed to be primarily child sacrifice. As far as the statue that you're talking about, I don't know what you're talking about as far as.
Are you understanding the connection? Understand the connection I'm making?
I understand that you're making a connection with the fire.
An act is what they're calling God. The act is the God that rules the man. If you are violent, your God is violence. And they call it Moloch. In the language, it's Moloch.
Hold on. I'm just reading. I look it up in the Google right now. Moloch in the Bible. And as a result, I got in the Bible, Moloch, also spelled Molech, is an ancient foreign deity strictly associated with the abhorrent practice of child sacrifice. The Hebrew name is constructed by combining the word king with the vowels of the word for shame.
Yep, there you have it. So it's the king of shame. So it's an act of these. Remember, I was telling you about the sons of God got the daughters of men, and then they had children with them, and then they taught them these foul things. So the elders, the sons of God, were like kings, and they ruled in ancient days. So they created a whole group of children and societies to brainwash children, all for sacrificing or to go out and start making war. And this was a king of shame. That's what they loved. They loved to do it. It became part of the man.
It was not a god, so it was more like some deity or something that they use for represent the practice of child sacrifice. That's what I understand.
Yeah. So John Day writes on this. He writes a whole book on this character, and there's a few other. George Hyder writes on this, but there's a lot of scholarship that's now on this subject. That's more modern scholarship, and I think you'll find that the majority now thinks that Moloch is just literally a type of sacrifice. It's specifically a child sacrifice.
That's what he just said. But who was the one who commanded this? It was a king. And according to the Hebrew, the king, according to the way he's saying it, it was the king of shame. Just like in ancient days, you had Melchizedek. He's a king of righteousness. So he would come out with sacrificing of bread and wine. That was his sacrificing. These other guys, they would have child sacrificing instead. So even with what he was saying earlier in his presentation about Abraham getting told to sacrifice a child, but then later on he was stopped because there's a different kind of thing that's happening.
Genesis 22:2 does this act to sacrifice your sons. We get this in Genesis 22:12. Dan McClellan has did a whole book cover on this subject specifically.
But you have to look at the culture of Abraham.
I understand.
Look at the culture of where Abraham comes from.
Yes, but this early culture definitely it did have an ideal of child sacrifice, that was not a bad thing. By the after Deuteronomy, this begins to change. Obviously, they don't think that sacrificing to children are good, but as far as very early on, biblical, there seems to be backing in the documents that construct the Bible that child sacrifice is totally legit and is totally ordered.
Well, when you go to the Akkadians, this is where Abraham is an Akkadian. He speaks Akkadian. He was an Amorite speaking Akkadian. What were they doing in their land when Abraham, before he left, what was the practice of the Amorites? Because remember, they had multi-gods.
I don't think Abraham was an actual person, and I think the majority of scholarship doesn't think it was an actual person. It's a stand-in.
He was an actual person. They've got things about him that's archaeological evidence.
I don't think they do.
He is an Akkadian speaking man living in the land of Ur of Chaldeans. And if you look at the practices of these people, did you know that they were doing child sacrificing? So when Abraham came forth, that's a practice that's already indoctrinated into him. Yet it's the Most High God who put a stop to it. And then it became animalistic now. So it's a gradual human learning experience, I believe, is what it all is, Clearwater, is humans are evolving and learning that some of the things and beliefs that they were doing were absolutely insane. And as they grew in knowledge and understanding, it started switching over to different things. But later on, even when you read the book of Amos, here is a guy who's saying to these people who are even sacrificing animals, he's saying,
this is disgusting as well. So they're slowly progressing forward in evolution to stop doing this, because we don't do it today. We don't sacrifice animals today. Now, some cultures may do still, but the majority of human beings alive today are not sacrificing animals nor children.
The other one was rock. Christopher, I wanted to mention to you, rock is also used by the Hebrews, not just for spirit, but it's also used for wind. So Brock is, I think it might be better compared to wind than breath, but I mean, I think it's been used for breath too, but I think there's an association between wind, breath, and spirit. And I think when they use the word like Brock as if it's a spirit, like it's more associated.
There's no B in the word.
Correct.
It's RAUCH.
You're correct.
Look, we're not looking at don't look at the letter or the word. Look at the pictograph first. See, you got to go to the pictograph of what the resh, the meaning of the resh, and then you have the chet, and then you have the hay. When you put these words together, the pictograph together, you have a better understanding that it's not speaking about wind like air moving through trees. It's speaking about life that's giving life into human beings. So that's the clear understanding. Yes, you are correct that sometimes the roch, based on context, could be speaking about wind through trees. But then in another context, if it's talking about like the breath of life is breathed into a Adama, absolutely, a creature, it becomes a human being now. So
a living being uses the word all the time. Like it's like breath and life. I mean, even when we do life for life, the words there is like breath for breath is the real Hebrew there.
But you understand what Clearwater's saying. It's not a spirit the way that Christians think spirit is. Life is consciousness, and we breathe oxygen. We know that for a fact, right? Oxygen comes in our nostrils. So the word that they're using is just describing, it's a descriptive word of breath of life itself. It's not an actual spirit in that sense. It's life itself, the consciousness, when men become conscious. A baby is born, life is in it. They call it the roch is in the child. The breath of life is there. But it's not like a spirit, a ghost, or some other entity that's animating something.
So one thing that I probably could have mentioned on my presentation was that this word witchcraft was used when people didn't understand something, especially from someone else. Some people have abilities to do something that other people couldn't understand, and they will call him a witch. And probably that's where the word, because they didn't know what was going on. So
there was some kind of hidden knowledge that they had that no one else knew. So they were occultists, or later became witchcraft after that.
Yes. So I think today the word witchcraft has a really negative connotation because it's associated with violence. I think, in my view, in my opinion, with killing something. But I think back in time, probably it was used to describe something that people would not understand. And I think that using that same view of calling something that we don't understand witchcraft, people in Christianity, they still don't understand things about life, like where we come from or what happens with us when we die. And that's why I think that people continue doing, witchcraft.
Well, Clearwater, wouldn't you agree that even back in the ancient days, this word witchcraft, didn't they have white magic, black magic, good witches, bad witches? You see what I'm saying? There was always this separation that some people were using knowledge for good. That's the tree of knowledge. Some people were using it for evil works. Just like today's society, you got that one guy, the Dr. Death, who, if somebody wants to die, he gives them some medicine so they can go die. I don't think he's
around anymore. I think that's been
years
ago.
So you know what I'm saying? Like they had a knowledge to do that, and they were practicing it.
So when people in Christianity, for example, get on their knees and start praying to God, what are they really doing?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, what are they really doing? And that's the thing is, when you get into the actual scripture of what God is as a name, Revelations 5:6 tells you that he's 7 spirits, which is all based on science, logic, reasoning. That's what God is. He's wisdom, knowledge, understanding.
but it's the good side. Then you got the bad side, and that's what they call Satan or Satan.
We're not talking about something outside of ourselves. I think what you're saying is that this information is talking about us.
Yeah, because even with Jesus, when Jesus is saying things, he says the kingdom of heaven is inside you. It's not outside us. There's no place outside. It's always inside.
Are you, Christopher, by chance Universal Unitarian or something close to it?
No, I don't believe in any form religion whatsoever. Okay. No.
So
I think they're all a cult. I think they're all cults.
Christopher, I want to say something about that. What we just said. I'm trying to bring awareness to people that believe in invisible entities, that we could be talking about something else and not really, we're not talking about a God, something external of us, like some entity that is outside of time and space. But I suspect that the beliefs in gods come from something that is emotional.
Yeah.
I keep saying on my live stream that believing in gods has nothing to do with believing in gods. We're talking about our relationship with ourselves and not understanding who we are. And because we don't understand, we have no explanations. We try to find explanations outside of ourselves, especially irrational explanation going in the esoteric, invisible gods, invisible entities. And that's why, just like Christianity, people in Santeria and voodoo, they also get on their knees and they also pray to entities, invisible entities. They also get into chants and ceremonies, and they get books and information. And I learned today also something that I didn't know. Also, these religions have good teachings, like not to hurt other people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
They have a mixture. But you know what surprises me more, though? What's happening now, which never happened in religion before, is now within religion, they're using music, like rock music and stuff, to influence the young people. And we all know that music can create many moods. They can be sadness, happiness, euphoria can be created. And I've noticed that a lot of these religions today are starting to use this up-tempoed beat music to create a euphoric stage or mind frame within the young generation to induce some kind of toxicity to them.
Christopher, if you allow me, man, thank you for bringing that up. I call what you just mentioned, I call that a carrier. What do I mean by that? When you get someone into a negative field state, probably you have never heard me saying this, Christopher. I don't know if you've been here in this live stream before, but I talk about getting people into a negative field state. And when people resist, you can use a carrier to bring someone from a negative field state to a positive field state with music.
Mm-hmm.
When people are not able to connect the data to a negative field state and move themselves to a positive field state, you can use a carrier and bypass this logic from this information, and you get the person into a positive field state, and they get the associations towards you and your church and your teachings.
It's called the alpha, beta, theta waves of your brain. Your brain has alpha, beta, and theta, and certain BPMs of music can enhance or lower certain frequencies of your electromagnetic field.
I think Nick is muted.
No, he's unmuted. He's just listening, probably. Muted. Yeah. Nick is like, man, I don't want to say anything about this witchcraft thing. Nick, come on, you're welcome, man. At least I don't bite too hard. Man, that joke is too old.
No, it's still solid. Hey, I wanted to mention Enoch actually does a little bit of this, though. I know most religions don't consider this canon, but Enoch plays with this, that the angels brought herbal secrets, that they brought roots, and that teach them roots and plants and charms and enchantments. I think it's in Enoch 7 or 8, it talks about this, that the angel Aziel taught men forbidden knowledge about roots and plants and charms. This is like, good. Oh, he brought them witchcraft.
Well, you know what that word, though, remember what I told you where the original word stemmed from? It's a man. See, they've created angel as a being that came down from heaven, teaching these women how to put makeup on and all this stuff. No, these are the sons of God, the elder men who have great experience and knowledge of how to manipulate other people. And they're the ones that are bringing the manipulation into the younger generation to teach them these enchantments, these spells, this witchcraft. And now do you see what Book of Enoch was really about? He was telling
Well,
on
it's about
these,
a lot of stuff, but
well, I'm just saying he's telling on these elders in ancient time. We're looking at, Enoch was before the flood. That's pre-flood. So
right,
he's
right. But it
basically
says
telling you
Ezekiel.
what was happening. Like, this is a bunch of humans that became kings, like the guy said, king of shame, king of righteousness. They start calling themselves all these different king names, which later in Chaldeic text and Ugaritic text, they start calling it the king's list and saying that these people lived 1,000 years. But in actuality, what it means is their seed image lived a certain amount of time. For instance, if you have a son, that image is the father. The father's the grandfather. The father before him, the great-grandfather. So it's the seed image that lived this long. If you only have daughters born to you, another man has to seed the woman. Therefore, it states Adam lived 930 years and he was no more, because they quit having sons. They only had daughters, and now it becomes a different seed line. Different man has to take over and seed it.
I think there's most scholarship that's looking at this just thinks that many characters, that they kept that story alive for a long time, or they would just accredit them just wrongly. I'm not sure that we have to have like a univocal doctrine to say, oh, they're talking about seeds. I think that just many times these people aren't actual people, or they're extending them like kingships. They'll say that this person reigned for X amount of period of time because they don't have knowledge of all that time.
Well, but you have to understand, this is a family-run business. Just like in today's society, when you get into kings and queens or presidents or vice presidents, these people are all related. It's a family thing that they've been doing for years and centuries. And they don't let anybody inside the family. So these guys this is a family heritage that's been passed down, and they have been ruling over what they call the peasants, and they rule them. The family rules them. For that many years, they were ruled underneath a certain doctrine, a certain ideology that the family would hand on to their sons, and their sons would hand on to them. So
I understand that, Christopher. I understand. My objection to it is that many of these people were writing about people that might have existed 700, 800, 900 years before them. And the problem is that many people would wind up writing about this character at different times. So then way further in the future, when someone's writing about him, apparently, according to the past literature and comparing all the different people that's written about him, the man existed for a very long period of time. So in the future, they're just writing it like Enoch is generally dated to like 1 to 200 BCE. So that this is like intertestamental period. Somebody's writing this, and they might have seen a lot of different literature from the past that kept talking about Enoch in this place or in that place. We get the same thing in fictional Greek stuff with Odysseus. Like, a lot of people use the character Odysseus and they put him inside of a bunch of different times. If you're talking about Odysseus as if he's a real person and you're trying to match up all those times, Odysseus might turn up to be 300-400 years old just by looking at the time markers.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. There were earlier books, and those books are now gone. And what you have now is the reformation of that old knowledge in a different story now.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, Christopher, Gudra, and Robert. Do you think there's a possibility that believers, for example, in this case, we're talking about Christians, could they be contributing to a problem for humanity and them probably not even knowing it?
I do. Not even knowing it. And I agree with you 100%. They don't even realize what they're doing. But yeah, because I've been to podcasts, like I say, they kept saying one day, I'm manifesting demons. And I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute, I'm manifesting demons. So basically, according to what you're stating, if you believe in the judgment day or in the afterlife, if a demon entered into me and caused me to commit sin, that's not me doing it. The demon took over my body. So when I go in front of God on judgment day, I can say, God, you can't throw me in hell. The demon is the one that caused me to do that sin. So they're not taking responsibility for their own action. They're blaming something else that's not even real. And
Well-
that's not judgment. How can God be just if he's going to send me to hell because I was possessed by a spirit entity that made me do something I didn't want to do?
But what do you
Makes
think?
no sense.
What do you think, Gudra?
Maybe it's my ego, if not a demon. I mean, yeah, the murderers in the, I don't know, can say it wasn't me. I was like possessed by the devil or something like that. But I mean, I don't know. The God basically has nothing to do with us. Like he never interfere, like, and stuff like that. So I don't know. We can't talk to God. We can't examine anything because there is nothing to be studied. Because I don't know, praying to God is just like talking to yourself. To me, like you worship God, you worship devil, spirits, or idol. I mean, it's all same to me. Like it's I don't know. It's invisible being, and then you have privilege to say whatever you want, and no one can prove you wrong.
Well, Gouda,
I
when
mean-
you go in front, Gouda, when you
if
go in
you-
front of the judge, just tell
well-
him that you were possessed.
Yeah. What do you think, Robert?
I think y'all are all crazy and the devil's just making y'all say these things. No, I kid. But yeah, I mean, I've already been called basically a devil in this channel, and someone spoke to the demon inside of me rather than to me specifically. So I think,
remember.
yeah, of course, I think this is problematic. You know, this kind of dogma and not thinking about things, not approaching things critical, it's a way to try to understand the world in a very low resolution and try to make things black and white in a way that they can understand. So they anthropomorphize things and they say this is good and this is evil, and there's some kind of embodiment that is the essence of good and evil, or these representative characters. I think they're just trying to uncomplicate the complexity of life by making everything very cut and dry, cookie cutter, black and white, and it's problematic to say the least. But all of this dogma that gets, you know, thrown over the top of it, it stops people from understanding and having real clarity to start with. And secondly, people have these ideals of what's bad, and they say like homosexuality or other things that are natural, and they're not understanding, and they either mark it in the good camp or the bad camp. And all too often when they don't understand something, they put it in the bad camp, and we all suffer for it.
Well, Robert, what I could ask though, isn't there a right and a wrong, or is there not? Isn't there a line where, as human beings, we know that something is good or evil?
We can measure this in terms of our own values. If we were going to measure humans as valuable, then we could say things, make statements to that effect, that like anything that causes harm to humans is bad. But I mean, I think we have to start with the value that humans are valuable, right? We have to start with, we value like reciprocity. Right. That we value the life or different things such as human cooperation. And if we value these things, then there are things that damage that, and there are things that nurture and do good to that. But I think we got to start with recognizing our own internal value statements.
Well, I would say more though on an objective or subjective. So a lot of people, when I make debates, they're always saying, "Oh, that's objective," or "That's subjective," and I say there's no such thing as that in reality. Subjective and objectiveness is just you wanting to evade some truth. So,
Yeah.
for an example, I'll give you an example of something of what you just said recently. So, life itself, we know how life is created. It's a scientific way that life in human beings, there has to be a unification of a man and a woman. There has to be an egg and a sperm to create life. That's a scientific fact.
In humans, yes.
If you practice something that does not allow that continuation, is it good or evil? Is it wrong or right? If the function of a human being altogether, or anything on the earth, as a matter of fact, plants themselves or anything that you eat as food, if it stopped producing, we would all die. If the sun doesn't shine, everything would die. So I believe there is a truth.
This is an appeal to, I can
subjective.
already see what we're doing here. This is an appeal to that it's natural to, or there's more higher continuation inside of heterosexuality over homosexuality. But the fact is,
I believe you have a choice. There's always a free will. There's always a choice. but that doesn't mean that you're making the right
there's
choice.
choices against natural impulses also, Christopher. So we have well documented multiple different animals that have homosexual tendencies, or even penguins, for example, that mate for life, that will mate with male and male, and they're male penguins and for life. These variations happen inside a species at a limited amount, at a limited percentage,
Anomalies.
in multiple different, we'll
Right.
call it anomalies or whatever, but they're a
Anomalies.
minority. They're a minority percentage, but they very naturally happen in thousands of species that they're documented in.
But let me ask you this. If those penguins decided to all do that practice in 100 years,
they don't
in 100 years,
decide.
would we have I'm just saying, by your standard of what you're saying, an anomaly. What if they all started to practice that, and then you would have no more penguins, my friend?
I think there's a distinction between a preference and a desire, and people desire things that are very
choice.
Well, whether we're calling it a choice or not, I don't think the penguins had a choice to desire what they desire. They may, in some sense, have a choice to do the action, if that makes sense, but they don't have a choice in what they internally desire. So
no, because Clearwater made a perfect statement in the beginning when he's saying to you about what Christianity does. So the same thing what you were doing about the homosexuality thing, if society presents something as a doctrine and it's okay to do, and you show it in movies and music and everything else, you're basically indoctrinating the minds of people to follow a certain pattern, even if the pattern is not good or right. You're still influencing other people to accept this.
Hold on.
It's not a desire.
No, but wait a minute. If there are things that are showed in the movie that I don't particularly do, or I don't even like the flavor of that food or that other thing, are they indoctrinating me because they are displaying what people in normal society do, even though I might not take part or like that particular that dance or whatever it is that they're doing? To say that that's indoctrinating.
But that's a faulty analogy.
Okay, then you need to give me something that's saying that act is damaging, because what you're doing instead is saying if everybody done that act, it would be damaging, and that's a huge straw man.
What I'm saying is this: homosexuality on the basis of individual society's self is not harming anyone. However, when you look at it as the human being function of life itself, they are harming their own selves because they will no longer be producing any seed anymore. They basically are ending their generation right there.
Yeah,
they're
thousands of people
themselves.
do that. They're not homosexual. Even inside of the Christian cults and groups, even Paul, like in the Pauline letter, has said that I rather you not marry, that I'd rather you not go on. Even Jesus in the literature says that if you can be eunuchs for the kingdom of God's sake, then if you can receive it, then receive it. So not only do we have this inside of Christian groups, but we have it in multiple religious groups that have ideas that they should not allow their seed to go on. We have priest fathers right now in a giant Catholic church that are not allowing their seed to go on.
But
so
I think you're missing the basis of what I'm saying, right? I'm not saying whether this is harming other people or if you don't have a free choice. What I'm saying is there is a line, what is with logic and reason, that we can, as human beings, say, hey, that practice is not good. It doesn't benefit anyone.
But not good for who, brother? Not
Yeah,
good for who? If I watch a movie and everyone eats ice cream and everyone likes ice cream, does that make me go and buy ice cream? Like, you need to be
Again, but that's a faulty analogy. Ice cream is not reproduction. We're not reproducing with ice cream.
We don't choose these preferences, Christopher. There's a lot of psychology on this subject. There's a lot of studies on this. I think the Pam Labs did a twin study on this subject. I think you may want to look into this a little more. But that preference for sexuality.
Why would I take? We have 10 billion people on this planet. Why would I take one anomaly and then make my final conclusion that Pam is right and everyone else who's procreated is wrong?
It's not. No. That's not the question, Christopher. The question is whether it is naturally occurring that they are attracted to this group. So if you think that, like, you could just
how did they become attracted? That's the thing. How did they become? So basically, your claim is somebody can be born a certain way, right?
They can be born with predilections towards.
Show me the evidence that a child born is
Christopher,
homosexual.
Hold on a second. I think
Without any
if you allow me to say something here, you guys have taken this somewhere else from the topic of the live stream, but that's okay because from the messages on the chat, I can see that people are interested in this topic. But Christopher, if I'm not mistaken, you're saying that this is not good, probably for humanity. This is not natural.
It's a form of witchcraft. It's a form of witchcraft, sir.
Well, no. If you allow me, hold on, Christopher. Hold on. If you allow me, I understand that probably it could be a problem for humanity if every man turns gay. I could see a problem.
Yeah.
For humanity, okay? But
and what if they start doing the P word? Hold on, should we start accepting that to happen?
Hold on. This is like a baby being born without a hand and calling it like this is bad. Because why do I say that? Hold on, Christopher. Why do I say this? Because myself, I have seen babies, man, that they start acting the opposite of what their sex is. From 1 to 2 years old, a girl is not interested in anything that looks pink or anything that has to do with a doll. You know, wants to be playing with the kids, something that is physical. You can see it. This is something that it can be easily demonstrated. But what I'm saying is that also...
Well, that's like eating food, though. That's like the same as he was saying, eating food. Some people might not like to play with G.I. Joe. Some guys may like to play with Barbie, but it doesn't mean anything. If you allow me,
Christopher, hold on a second. I think there's a line that has to be marked because we have to accept babies without a hand. But we don't have to accept and not research why babies are coming out without a hand. So in the case of babies coming out acting in a different way from what their sex is, we can accept that baby, we can accept that human being, but we don't have to accept that all babies, girl babies, are going to start acting like men. Probably we can do some research to see what's going on. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think there's an extreme on this case. It has to be analyzed. Some people are saying that the water in some places is affecting people. Some doctors are saying, seeing some patterns, it could be the case. I think this is something that is worth it to be researched to see what's going on, to see if this is something that is being done by accident, probably something that we're eating, or probably someone is doing this on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Like, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
You have like a little boys playing with the Barbie toys, and you have a little girls that are interested like in boys activities. Like it's about, I think it's about the hormones. Like if you have a lot of male or female hormones, it's changed. But it's, if somebody decide not to marry, or if somebody is gay, it doesn't damage the society in my point of view at all. Like everybody has to make his own choices. Like
we also have men
if you allow me,
feminine.
Christopher, to say one more thing, I think that there's also a line that has to be drawn, because one thing is accepting people, for example, I don't know, a guy that is homosexual or something, but you have to draw a line also, because there's people that are going to be attracted to children, and you're going to be acceptable also of that person. Like, well, we have to accept everybody the way they are. I think there are lines that have to be drawn also, some limits, because we know that when something presents itself in life that doesn't seem to be natural, I think we have to look at it a little bit more carefully.
Yeah, and you could have a man that acts very feminine, but he's not a homosexual.
Yeah,
femininity, acting does not mean you're gay. I'm not. See, that becomes faulty analogy. A child can play with a Barbie or a G.I. Joe. They can do girl things or boy things. That's not determining what it is that they're doing sexually. They're probably not even sexually active, is what I'm saying. But when it comes to the point when someone is actually becoming sexually active, when the age presents itself, some people that are younger, if they're not sexually active, perhaps something is going on within their household to where maybe another child is messing around with another child. And then you can see that as being homosexuality activity, but there's a cause and effect to something that's going on. And that goes deeper, like what he was saying. Some people may say there's something in the water, or maybe the government's doing something with the food when they try to kill bugs or something on it that later affects the hormones of children. It needs to be investigated, yes. But
also,
you cannot say...
Also because of cases of abuse and stuff like that also influence or people to act in different ways sexually.
And that's what I'm saying, that I don't believe anyone is born in any way of homosexuality. I think they are...
You're greatly off from the World Health Organization and the vast majority of clinical psychology.
World Health makes money. My friend, you have to understand.
You can start going the conspiracy path if you want, Christopher.
Money.
Just be very aware that you're doing it while you're doing it.
Listen, it's a fact that they profit. An organization who can do some kind of scientific test on a certain group of individuals, they need to have that as an individual group in order to get the money to do some case study on it.
Christopher, I'm curious, what do you think... Christopher, what is making the distinction between a man and a woman that is keeping that line so separated in your head? Is this God or some supernatural power that has divided X from Y in a way in your head that you think X is always X and Y is always Y? Or why do you think that these two don't have similarities more than you would traditionally think?
Well, okay, I'll look at it in a scientific way. Did you know that every child is born female? Did you know that? The ovaries fall down and become testicles. Your vas deferens are fallopian tubes in the beginning. So everyone's actually in the very beginning stages feminine. And then the ovaries drop and the tubes turn into vas deferens later on. That's where you'll get into certain cases with certain children who they have undescended testicles. These type of things that are happening within science. But if you look at the chromosome, the Y and the X chromosome, the Y is only missing a leg. Now, sometimes that leg that's missing can have a little extension on it, which could possibly be making the man more feminine by producing a estrogen type of hormone more than the rest of the males whose leg is completely missing. And then on female side, maybe that leg isn't extended all the way. It's a little bit too short. So now she's become a little bit more, tomboyish. But that doesn't mean they're gay or anything.
Christopher, are you attracted to females?
Yes.
Okay. Can you choose to be attracted to males?
Can I choose? Yeah, you could do whatever you wanted to do.
I'm not asking you if you could do the thing. I'm asking if you could choose to be attracted.
Yes, you could do.
Can you choose to be attracted to something different than you are? Or do you even choose your attractions at all?
Well, let me ask you this question. Do you believe that certain men are more handsome than another man?
I suppose. I mean, I can see features that I'm aware that people generally find attractive. I don't particularly find them attractive at all.
Well, but you can observe this. Do you have a choice? You want to act on it?
No. I can't be aroused by it. That's not a choice. Like, they can look however they want. There's no way that I could be aroused.
Arousal comes from, if there's no woman around, are you getting aroused?
That's not really the question, though, is it, Christopher?
Do you understand? Yes, because you have 5 senses. 5 senses is what's causing your arousal. Sight, sound, smells, all these things can create arousals. All right.
Sure.
So even when you're growing up and you want to do the M word, I don't want to say it, but the M word for a man, right? How do you visualize something in your mind? Do you look at a magazine? Or how do you get off if you don't have 5 senses being activated? So you can act on the 5 senses. They're all available. It's how you deal with the cause and effect. So you could say a man is handsome, and then you can internally start fantasizing the same way you fantasize with a woman. You could start doing that with a man. There's no difference in the chemical thing that's happening.
So the problem that I'm having with the argument that you have is your primary objection is that if everyone done that, then it would be problematic. But if everyone
Yeah.
done both, wouldn't there still be reproduction? So why don't you ever have any sexual relations with men? I mean, as long as you did have a sexual relations with women, you're still not messing up the lineage. So why don't you with both?
Well, that's where we get into that fine line. Is there a right and a wrong? Because just what you said, if
But
the
I
world
thought the
were
right and
bisexual,
wrong was established, Christopher,
I'm answering
only
it. If the whole world was bisexual, yes, procreation could still exist. You're
will
absolutely
still
right.
exist. Yeah.
But then, just as Clearwater was saying, if society started to allow those things to happen, will we also, what if someone wants to say that, oh, now children are attractive?
Oh, we're going to do a slippery slope argument, Christopher. You're not
That's not
addressing the
slippery
problem.
slope.
It is a
It means
slippery slope argument.
There has to be a truth present that tells us just because you have a choice doesn't mean it's the right choice.
You're professionally dodging the questions, Christopher.
Very professional.
And changing the subject.
Think about it. Everyone has a choice. You can make a bad choice. We can all do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want in free will. But it doesn't mean that the choice you're doing is right. That's why I'm saying now we have to come into the understanding. Is there really a truthful thing in religion that there is a right and a wrong? Because if there's no religion, there's no right and wrong, then why are we not all doing whatever we want?
That's well, let me be clear on something. When I think of right or wrong or good or bad, I think of it just in terms of motion. So if we use terminologies like we are moving, technically we cannot move unless we are moving relative to another object. If there is no object, there's no such thing as motion. All motion is relative to another thing. I think also when we're talking about things as far as good or bad, they are relative to a thing. So if I say a move on a chessboard, if that move is good or bad, it is good or bad relative to the goal of winning the game. So if I have a goal and I have a value statement, then things are good or bad relative to achieving or degrading that goal. So if the goal is for the continuation of humankind, or the goal is for the preservation of human life, or statements like this, then things are good or bad relative to that statement. They're not just good or bad like motion is. Like motion has to be connected to a thing. It's relative to it in the same way good or bad is.
I'll give you an example. Your heart stopped beating. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
If I want to live, that is a bad thing. If I am ready to die and I took the medicine,
your heart beating is not relative to anyone else in this world, sir. So is it a good thing or a bad thing if your heart stops? Remember what you just said. Everything must be.
I'm answering, Christopher. If I want to live, it's a bad thing relative to that goal. If I'm 90-something years old and I'm in pain and I took the medicine intentionally to stop the heart, then it's a good thing.
A good thing, yeah. It depends on the situation, good and bad.
It is relative to my goal. It is good or bad.
No, that's a faulty analogy. You're wanting to die then.
That's correct.
You just said
it is relative to my value.
Pain, so you're wanting to do something to end your own life, which is called suicide.
Sure.
Okay.
But whether it's good or bad, Christopher, I gave you an example, is relative to my goal.
Your heart not beating is a bad thing. You said it. If you add to that, now what you're doing is you are making a objective opinion about your own life, because there might be somebody that say, hey, your suicide, wanting to take medicine to die, is wrong for you to do.
Christopher, you just
understand what I'm
misrepresented
saying?
You just outright said that I said something that I didn't say.
Guys, if you can allow me for a second, if we take this for 5 more minutes, because it's definitely people both on the vertical and horizontal want to talk about Christianity being witchcraft.
Yeah, but this is where it becomes witchcraft for you. Is you see how all these people are bringing up certain subject matter to defend something? In this understanding, they have been brainwashed into thinking that homosexuality is good. That's just like what religions are doing.
But what are you are saying that like if somebody is gay, like he's spreading a disease that will take over the world, then everyone will become gay.
No,
I don't understand
what I'm
that.
saying is, if something bad in religion starts to get spread, for instance, terrorism. If terrorism started controlling the whole world, that's a bad thing. We would want to stop that. Why do we not want to stop homosexuality? Because if it can influence all of humans to be gay, then there's no more humans being born. Well, we need to make an objective opinion.
Chris. It's like if me breathing a cigarette could take everyone's oxygen in the world. You're saying an if statement that can't exist. So
these are faulty. Why do you keep bringing up faulty
because
analogies?
You just said, Christopher, you just said if it can make everyone in the world gay. Well, it fucking can't, Christopher. So we're done with the subject, right?
Yeah, that's not possible at all, what you're saying. Like if I smoke a cigarette, I'm making everybody in the world smoke. Like it has no sense.
Well, actually, in America, yeah, they ban it because secondhand smoke is bad for other people. It's a scientific fact. That's why you can't smoke in restaurants or public places. You used to be able to. You can't do it no more because we have made a opinion that it is bad and nobody else wants to be affected by that. The same way we should start looking at sexual acts and religions itself, that if something is creating a negative effect on society, whether you think it is or not, we have to address it.
But you're saying like we are all under the influence of some bad thing. Like if you have a gram of the brain, you won't be under the influence. Like somebody can be gay near me, it doesn't affect me in any way. Like I don't understand. You're saying
Clearwater. It doesn't affect them, Clearwater. It won't affect them until, let's say, somebody does something to their family member. Now it starts affecting them, and now
what do you mean, Christopher?
Something against it.
Do
Otherwise,
something
they
to his
never
family
do.
member.
It's the same as religion. Religion, people let slide and go by doing things until
specify your statement,
them,
please.
and then it's like,
think,
well, wait a minute,
think
that's wrong to do.
I think he's referring to probably the son bringing his boyfriend home.
Okay. Two consenting adults or two consenting adults. Why the hell would I care what
I didn't say anything like that. That's what he said is what I was
saying. What do you mean?
I throw that out there just in case. I don't know.
Well, Christopher, what do you mean then when somebody does something to a family member? You were referring to homosexuality, and then you said when somebody does something to a
let's say you go to a restaurant to eat, right? You go out to a restaurant to eat. Some teenager, not because he's gay, but just because he's a teenager who happens to be gay.
Okay.
And let's say he's got some kind of disease, venereal wise, STD. Okay. So we can not say that it's only gays get it. No, you can get STDs being, hetero. But let's say this person is doing something and they're more likely, because of their lifestyle, of catching diseases. And they make you food and they give it to one of your family members and it's in that sandwich, it's in whatever you're eating, and then you get home and now all of a sudden your child has become infected with something because nobody taught this other child that the lifestyle that he's living is inherently wrong.
You're embedding a lot of vocabulary here, and let me explain.
Choices do
Christopher,
other people.
Because this scenario that you just gave, the person could be completely heterosexual, and this exact same thing happened. And what you're doing is you're saying his lifestyle choices rather than saying what you're talking about as being gay. So everything you just said in that scenario.
Tell me this: is it more likely for a homosexual to have a disease or a heterosexual? Answer.
That is entirely dependent on the culture. If you're in East Asia area or if you're in African cities that has a really high AIDS rate or something amongst homosexuals specifically, then that may be the case. As far as AIDS rate being much higher than regular heterosexual rates in the US.
I didn't say AIDS. I said basic STDs, my friend.
Okay, I don't know the statistics, but if I had to guess, the AIDS or STDs in the United States is not drastically higher, if at all higher, in homosexuals than in heterosexuals.
It actually is. It actually is. It's actually 10 times more likely
10 times. Oh, okay.
10 times more likely amongst people that practice a certain lifestyle than those that
A
are
certain
practicing
lifestyle.
a
Stop, Christopher.
heterosexual
Stop,
lifestyle.
Christopher, with hedging it in something that
It's
you're
all
not.
it's all just a
certain
lifestyle.
lifestyle
Just
can
like
be anything.
religions are choices, and they can be indoctrinated. And just like homosexuality, it's like a religion now. You can become it's the new fad, so let's all practice it. The new religion's out, let's all practice it.
No one does
Let's
that.
get
No
indoctrinated.
one's gay because they're like,
This
oh,
is
my
what his
friend's
subject
gay.
is actually about. Is Christianity being normalized as witchcraft? Is homosexuality being normalized as an actual practice of sexual practice? Yes. In
Here's my
today's
concern.
society, they're trying to make it normal. Just
I
like
don't
they're
see why
making
you said
radical
that.
forms of religion normal in society. And if society's righteous don't speak up and say no, their doctrine is completely corrupted, and we shouldn't be teaching this to our children because it creates children fighting and arguing, and one child starts calling another child, you got a devil in you, we got to cast it out. So then they go tie him up to a chair and sprinkle holy water on him or dump water in his face or whatever, and he ends up drowning. This is where society is starting to become to this. That's in the ancient days, my friend. Listen to what Noah in his days. They began to devour one another because of this indoctrination of craziness.
What's the difference between
care?
people?
So
Why
now
do
you
you
want to devour. You want to get back into religion is one small aspect. If let's say religion starts to tell you, hey, it's okay to be gay. And then the religion starts indoctrinating everybody that it's okay to be gay. And now all you religious people who were against it at first, now you're more accepting of it. And now what's going to happen to society?
What you're doing, Christopher, is exactly what you're charging them with doing.
Clearwater, do you understand what I'm saying here about religion and allowing certain things?
Christopher, I think what you're doing is literally exactly what they're doing. Rather than calling it demons, you're using witchcraft as a terminology.
No, I'm using logic and reasoning.
No, you're not. You're not, because those people that are being gay are not affecting you, and they're making their own decisions between two consulting individuals, and they're not damaging the fabric of society any more than someone smoking a cigarette. So you're being dogmatic about this, and you have a problem with homosexuality for other reasons that you're probably not stating here, but that's fine. But two consenting adults doing whatever action they're doing together.
Homosexuality, in my view, keeps you from producing. Therefore,
that is a dogmatic view. It is not a scientific view.
Listen to what I'm telling you.
It is not a psychological view.
Listen, I don't care if they want to be what they want to be. Lots of people commit sin, but they don't do it publicly.
Is sin a real thing, Christopher?
Listen to what I just said. Understand what sin means.
Please tell me.
Something that is wrong. Doing something wrong that you would be embarrassed to do openly in public. Why does a thief steal in the nighttime?
That's not a criteria, Christopher. I would be ashamed to poop in the public. I don't want to poop in the public. That don't mean pooping's a sin. I need a criteria, Christopher, that makes it wrong.
That's a fault. Again, it's a fault. You're using another faulty analogy.
Then give me one, Christopher. Give me what makes it wrong.
We'll use this faulty analogy in a better way. Would you go out in public and defecate in front of everyone?
I just said that I wouldn't. That doesn't make defecating or pooping a sin, does it?
The question is why would you not do that? Because society is playing a role, and they're condemning you for an action that they think is not right.
Why don't you give the criteria of what makes it wrong, Christopher?
The same thing that society would condemn the action of homosexuality. It's not right. But now you want to normalize it?
Makes it wrong.
It's like he has, like, we all have obligation to reproduce and to men be attracted to women.
No, you haven't. You're putting words in my mouth.
No,
I never said you had to do
allowing
anything.
you, but you won't do it, Christopher.
I'm telling
what
you,
makes it wrong.
You cannot just go around in the world and think that everything's okay. There has to be a line of truth, right and wrong. It does exist.
But why would
if it didn't exist, we would be like the animal kingdom itself.
Why do you care what two grown people are doing if they are not affecting you in any way?
It does affect you.
It doesn't.
It does. Yes, it does affect you. Right here is your proof. right here, you're affected by it because you would be the person to say, oh, it's okay to do.
No, I'm affected by
all be
you
gay.
wanting to curtail the rights of other consenting adults.
You don't see the future because it hasn't happened yet. But you're actually the
case
start
for everybody.
of everybody. Let's be gay and let's
No
end the
one
human
sees
race.
the future.
You
It
were the
hasn't
start
happened
of it.
yet.
If we looked at a timeline, you would be the start of it, sir. Yeah.
I think
I'm
you
the
can
start of
find
the
it.
end of the world. Now you,
just
now you
like
heard
there
it
was
here.
a start,
Guys.
just like there was a start to witchcraft and normalizing something in religion. It's the same way. If
I
you
knew this guy was
normalize a certain
dogmatic.
thing in religion and it becomes a normal thing in society, look how corrupted society has become.
Christopher,
I have-
Now
I
you
have-
got Jews. You're going to have Jews
Christopher.
wanting to sacrifice goats and lambs again.
I'm keeping
Killing
I keeping my mouth quiet regarding this topic. I have so much things to say and ask, but I really don't want to take this deeper into this sex
Fair.
subject because that's not the topic of this live stream, and because it's
I'm trying to get
interesting. And
out
I
of
know. Yeah, no worries. If I have to stop it, I stop it. But I know it's interesting. Some people, enjoy the conversation. But as in right now, I put 2 polls on the live stream, and everybody's take this topic back to witchcraft. Apparently, people want to know for sure or not if Christianity is witchcraft.
I was trying to steer the conversation out of it and get it back to that.
Yeah, so if you guys, if you don't mind, I don't know if I asked already. I think if I did, if you think that Christianity is a form of witchcraft.
I don't think so. But I think that depends on how you define witchcraft. Apparently, it can be defined in such a way that literally everything is witchcraft. So I would say, as our traditional understanding of the definition, no. Does it skirt near it and use the same kind of dogmatic structures? Sure.
I mean, in Middle Ages, priests were performing exorcism on people with epilepsy. Like he's doing some prayer and something, and he scared away the demon, and guy stood up. Guy would stood up anyway. He just took the.
But the question was, is not was it witchcraft? It's is.
I mean, but repetitive prayers. I mean, song chants. It's just.
So I want to clarify that for people, like in case of my family members, when they were practicing Santeria, for them was something that was not bad. They told me years back when they were part of the religion that it was something good, it was something of peace, but they were killing animals. I'm like, man, I don't think so. And the drumming and the dancing and the eyes going up and, being in a trance. It seems to me that that's not good. It seems to me that some of these actions are out of ignorance. And some people, mostly in these ceremonies, are acting. I saw some of this stuff myself. I was never part of Santeria or nothing like that. I always kept my distance. But I could tell the similarities between these ceremonies and when I was part of church. I was seeing people getting demons out of them, people supposedly getting the Holy Spirit, and it was extremely similar. The music was different. In Santeria was drums, and in Christianity and church, it was more like, slow music, and the Lord is coming to you right now. He's going to touch your heart.
And
But it's
Clearwater,
extremely similar.
Clearwater, would you think as well when you observe these, was there use of drugs also involved?
I mean, it's doing the same things as the drugs. Like all those methods are inducing trance states, and it's shifting the consciousness. It's the same thing as taking the drugs.
Shifting the consciousness.
In my case,
then the use of drugs amongst the young people, huh?
In my case, at church, I never saw people using drugs to get into this whatever thing that was happening. But I think in Santeria and stuff like that, they use tobacco and, really thick smoke and some things that smell very strong that I never asked what that was, but it smelled like blood.
Well, I mean more like in the ancient days, like not recently now, but, because we do have shamans, right? There's shamans that do ayahuasca and all this other stuff. I'm talking like in the ancient days when religions were very first starting to form, there's evidence, archaeological evidence, that there was drug use, because they find drugs in containers and everything, that there was a drug use that would induce them into making bad decisions again.
I'm not sure about Christianity, but what you say about shamans and a lot of other religions, they just use drugs to shift like the state of mind and try to talk to God, but I think they are just talking to themselves and tripping.
Exactly. But that's my point. My point is, even within society, in anything that we do, if we notice, drug use is starting to get rampant in many different activities, which is the same thing that was happening in religions that were forming. So yes, in the long run, we could be seeing certain things that are not, quote, normal in society to do, but some people are accepting it. Later on, it becomes greatly accepted because drug use, the population starts to use it more, and then it becomes more susceptible, and then they become more delusional and very influential because they're on such things.
If you allow me, I just noticed that some of the viewers are asking questions to the callers. Charles Olivers is asking Clearwaters, how is it not witchcraft? What qualifications of witchcraft does it fail? I think that probably Charles Olivers is in relation to skeptic philosophy comments.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to respond to that, Robert?
Yeah. The thing is, we use these terminologies to try to holistically lump things in there that have different internal characteristics. So while I can see that there are similarities in what we traditionally associate with witchcraft, obviously there's a distinction between what we normally refer to as witchcraft or acts of witchcraft, and one notably that fandom even pointed out, you notice how that they have priests and prophets and even exorcists, but they noticeably don't contain witches. So, and that while this is whimsical and funny, I think there are subtle differences now more so than there used to be. Early Christian history, I think, had a lot more of this. I think we even get a depiction a lot of the time. Early Christian depictions of Christ had him with a stick in his hand that was more like a, dare I say, a wizard wand. But this was more about the early conceptions of magic being imbued inside of objects, and he was using a physical object like a tiny stick to do ceremonies or other things. So I think many years ago, the concept of Christianity was much more tied to something that we would more resemble to witchcraft, but not obviously as much anymore. But these terms, when you try to create a term like witchcraft and say, oh, it fits inside of this camp because it has these certain little similarities, I think this is how we dull down and make lower resolution and cookie cutter categories to put things inside of. And it's okay to understand things on their own terms and with more complexity.
Did Moses turn a stick into a snake?
That's the story.
Well, every Christian believes it, but guess what? When I studied it, I found out that's not even the proper true story and interpretation of the words that are linguistically written.
Okay. So if you allow me, Robert, so in the case of voodoo and Santeria, they are praying to spirits, also in Christianity. I think I clarified that people say that these religions are witchcraft. Okay? It doesn't necessarily mean that they are doing witchcraft.
Yeah,
but
I mean, witchcraft is the craft of witches, and they don't have witches in the religion, so there's a definitional problem, obviously.
Yeah, I think probably the proper connotation to witchcraft is something that is not of benefit, something that is negative. Do you agree with that?
I think that's now the Christian framing, that they see them as that, as witches, as somebody that exercises a power that's not God's power and thus is evil power.
So from what you just said, do you think that if Christianity or Christians see voodoo and Santeria as them doing witchcraft, we could take that same ruler and say the same thing about Christianity?
I don't know. I mean, I guess to some degree there's similarities, but again, I just have a problem with putting it in a category, which if we would say it was prophecy craft, or if we would say it was the con craft or things like that, con artist craft, or things like this. But when you're saying something's witchcraft, it is specifically the craft of witches. And I think while there's a lot of similarities in the individual actions, it's like me saying that witches and priests are the same because they both wear hats, right? I mean, I struggle to say that these are the same conceptual things because of the similarities.
So if a Christian is saying that voodoo is witchcraft because they're praying to spirits,
okay,
and we say the same thing about Christianity?
Yeah, I mean, God is a spirit. I mean, that, and to some degree, yeah, they're doing the same thing. They're both praying to, quote, spirits. They're both praying to a thing that we can't even validate exist.
So I'm not saying, that this is witchcraft, but for Christianity, for Christians, most Christians think that these practices from voodoo and Santeria is witchcraft. So if you think that way, we could use this. We could say the same thing about Christianity, because you're doing very similar things that these people that are part of these religions are doing. So,
Clearwater.
Yes.
Clearwater. Not that long ago, maybe 200 years ago. Remember what Christians were doing? They believed that women flew around on brooms, so they burned them at the stake and sunk them in the water with rocks. And you're telling me that they're not practicing some weird belief system? Because it all goes down to a belief system. If these Christians believed that women could fly around on brooms, whoa.
Oh, it's a weird belief system. I'll easily put it in the category of a weird belief system. I'll even put them all in the category of an unfalsifiable belief system, that they've come to believe these things for dogmatic reasons that are not reasonable conclusions.
But when I got back to that in linguistics of God, because you were calling God a spirit, and you said you can't identify what a spirit.
I don't believe there is a God.
Well, I'm just saying that in the religion context,
sure,
when you say the word spirit, if I present to you what the actual linguistic word spirit and God means, could you test it, observe it, and repeat it if I told you what the 7 spirits were, which they call God in the book?
Well, the 7 spirits is a revelationary concept, but as far as the 7 characteristics, this is in the first Isaiah, or what scholars divide these Isaiah into 3 different books, and the first prophet that's writing there kind of gives these characteristics that I think the writer of Revelations is imbuing as a spirit. I'm not sure that Isaiah actually did. It said the spirit of. I know for
Isaiah,
sure Revelation
chapter 11, verse 2 gives you the 7 spirits by name.
And
those names become a characteristic of you, what you can actually test and observe. So for instance, the word in Hebrew is Gabor El. That means the power of God. Power, which I told him earlier, meaning that I have more knowledge and wisdom. I'm not going to go jump off a bridge. I'm much wiser than that. I want to retain my life, not lose it. So the power of God, the Gabor El, then what they did is they changed its name, and they called it Gabriel.
Yeah,
and then in Islam, they call it Jibril. And they created it as an entity, as an angel, that is a manifestation of something that doesn't exist, because that's not even the word meaning.
Sure.
You understand what I'm telling you?
Someone on the live stream is saying, Earth True is saying Christianity is not praying to spirits.
Okay, well, if God is a spirit and you're praying to God, then you're praying to a spirit. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, I'll extend this olive branch to you, that when you read Isaiah and it says the Spirit of the Lord, you could easily translate this as the breath of the Lord shall rest on them, or the breath of wisdom shall, wisdom and understanding, or the breath of counsel. I think this is using as kind of a substitute of the essence of the thing, whether that's anthropomorphized in a spirit form or in a life-giving form, I don't know, but there's some type of anthropomorphic use of the term, whether we're cashing it out as the colloquial understanding of the word spirit that we use today, or more like a placeholder, like the breath of counsel and might, or the breath of knowledge, right? It's some kind of placeholder for some kind of essence, whether we think of that as what we modernly call a spirit or some other conception.
Well, let me explain like the spirit of the Lord, what you said. That's the first one. So I'll explain it in this manner. Without life itself, you can't have any of those others. You can't get counsel. You can't have understanding. If you have no life, you have none of that other observation, because they're observations. These are testable, repeatable observations you can make. But you have to have life in order to do it to begin with. That's called, life itself was called the HaKodesh, or the Holy of Holies. Holies, plural, of the seven. Holy meaning life itself. Without that, the others don't exist.
Do you think there's something inspired or something intrinsically true about these that are more true about these texts than other texts? Or do you think these are just humans writing with their understanding of it, or what?
They're humans that have experience. So they're writing their experience down. And even in the Vedas are the same. They have a thing called Diwali, which is the light. But that is not in the subject content of what most of the Hindus believe. Just like in the Christianity, if you give the God as the seven spirits, they don't view it as that. They view it as an imaginary guy with a beard. So they've lost the actual truth of it, and that's where it becomes now witchcraft indoctrination.
I gotta jump off it.
To where they're doing weird things now that don't make any logical sense. Just to answer his question, do you understand what I'm saying, Clearwaters, of how these things got confused to where they start becoming witchcraft? As a fact, it is. They believe Moses. You can go into Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, three main Abrahamic religion, and talk to them about Moses turning sticks into snakes. Every one of these people in those religions believe that that is true. But the actual story goes into an Egyptian word linguistics, where they're talking about Wadjet, W-A-D-J-E-T, which was, to them, it was a representation of wisdom, but wisdom defined as a artwork or character was a woman with the body of a snake, or the head of a snake, a body of a woman, or the body of a snake and the head of a woman. This is called Wadjet, and this is what the staff turned into, which is basically, it's just wisdom. So Moses didn't turn a staff into a snake. What it meant was he had wisdom, so he could have the authority of the crook, because that was the thing he had, wasn't a staff, it was a crook, by the way. So he had the crook, and the crook was a representation of a ruler who had authority over Upper and Lower Egypt. So that never existed in the story that they have, but you see how far away they got from the story to where now it's become a witchcraft type of indoctrination that women can fly around on broom.
So what are you saying, Christopher, that the talking bush on fire is not real?
No. There's a meaning. So in Islam, that story in Islam, I think, is more correct than the Christian version. So in Islam, they have it as there's a fire pit, and Moses is with his family in the desert, as all shepherds would be at night. They trying to feed their flocks to try to find the green pasture. And at nighttime, they all gather into one place and they build a fire. And at this time, Moses sees off in a distance a fire. So he tells his family, I'm going to go to this fire to see if I can find guidance or get an ember from whoever's there. So when he reaches the place, there's a physical presence there. If you read the Genesis story or the Exodus story about when Moses received commandments, did you know that Moses received commandments from a physical man that was in a cave? That's the actual story. It's there in the book.
Christopher, how do you, if you understand that the information was corrupted, how do you know that the information that you think is correct is not also corrupted?
Because I have to test it.
I'm sorry, or made up.
Well, because I have to test it. Is it something that I can observe in living life, right? Not fantasy. Because I immediately, when you can't observe something physically, and there's a story about something like aliens, UFOs,
if there is no tangible evidence and all you have is somebody's rhetoric that I saw a ship in the sky, where is the tangible evidence for something like this? Now, if somebody were to say to me, a man took tablets and wrote things on them, or hammered or chiseled something, and then gave them to another man, that's logical. That can happen. I'm not saying it did. I'm just saying that that's more of a logical thing that happened, right? And that's actually in the story, rather than the movie depiction where lightning bolts go on the side of a mountain and carve out stones and then starts writing laws for Moses to go and take. That's a movie that created that, but most Christians believe that version rather than the version that's literally in their book.
My
The man
opinion,
is in the cave.
my opinion is it was a made-up story that through 2,000 years was corrupted, and we have a corrupted, made-up story, and
Well,
everyone think he has the truth and the
okay,
true story, but
I can see that.
just sci-fi movie.
It
I can
seems
see
to
that,
me,
but how
it
do you
seems to me,
explain?
Christopher, that at this time in these years, I mean, people were creating gods right and left for anything, for storms, wars,
Okay,
flowers,
I
birds.
I agree with you, but how do you explain Hammurabi's code then? That's an actual evidence fact. Hammurabi created a code, the same code that Moses had, Hammurabi had. And that's an actual archaeological evidence fact. And that's a true story.
Hey, Aaron and Nick, you're also on the Discord if you want to say something. We're talking about is Christianity normalized witchcraft, and I made a presentation where I present my view that they are the same thing.
Yeah, my short answer would be no, but that's just a short answer. I don't know if Aaron has any.
I mean, witchcraft is literally condemned explicitly in the Bible. So you'd have to define your terms what witchcraft is first, and
You
see
know,
if it compares.
There's
Yeah.
different engaging interpretations of what it is. So, like, I think it's very subjective. What you may deem to be witchcraft and what somebody else deems to be witchcraft is probably totally different. So, it's
That's why
all
you have to define
subjective.
your terms.
Yeah, when I was a believer, when I was spending time at church and all these groups that I was part of, I heard many times, and outside when I was already done with believing, people think that, for example, voodoo and Santeria, they practice witchcraft. And not also, it's not limited to these religions. Outside of these religions, you can also practice witchcraft, which involve talking to spirits, just like Christianity.
Well, so what do you mean when that Christians talk to spirits?
Holy Spirit.
I mean, ceremonies, rituals, sacrifices, worshiping spirit, inducing trance states, the
Talking to
religion and
demons.
the witchcraft. Yeah, it's just the same story, just a little differences.
I don't
Very
see
similar.
I don't see the correlation at all.
Well, let's give him an example. Well, you were asking about witchcraft. So the definition of witchcraft: the practice of using magic, rituals, or supernatural forces to cause change, kill, or influence events.
So what would you claim? What would you say that's witchcraft within true Christianity?
Well,
Asking
you
the Holy
stated,
Spirit to come to you.
or even his God in the Bible turned a stick into a snake, even though you said God
No,
hates witchcraft.
but
Why is
Christopher,
God practicing it?
yeah. So just basically, Nick, have you talked to the Holy Spirit?
Talk to the Holy Spirit? No.
Okay. Have you talked to God?
don't
Because
talk
God
to
is
the
a
Holy
spirit,
Spirit.
right?
What's up?
God is a spirit.
God is spirit, yes.
Yeah, so you're talking to a spirit.
That's called maleficium. Did you
Yeah,
know
we
that?
don't
That's called
talk to spirit.
Let Nick answer if you don't mind, Christopher.
Yeah, we don't talk to a spirit.
So God is not a spirit?
Yes, God is spirit, but we don't talk to a spirit. You're referring to
Okay.
the Holy Spirit.
Okay, sorry. To this spirit.
Do we pray to God? Yes.
Is God a spirit?
God is spirit,
You're
not a
talking
spirit.
to
God is spirit.
so you're talking to spirit.
If you want to frame it that way, you can.
Yeah, just like in voodoo, people talk to spirits or spirit or a spirit, whichever way you want to call it. The N word is spirit.
Right, but if we're going to define God as spirit, when God says pray to nobody else but me, or pray, essentially when he says that, have no other gods, that would correlate within, if you want to say voodoo, you're attributing, or you're trying to extrapolate and engage with the spirit realm instead of God himself.
So
Which
when people,
Aaron pointed out that witchcraft is condemned in the scriptures.
so I think I don't know if you agree. You're talking to a spirit, and in voodoo
We're
and
talking to God.
Santeria, which God is not a spirit.
Say that again.
God is not a spirit.
God is spirit. It's not a. It's God is spirit.
Is spirit. There's only one spirit in this realm.
No, saying a spirit is attributing to a singular. God is spirit by definition.
And there's only one spirit.
No, it's two totally different things.
There are no more
Explain
spirits
Isaiah.
on the unseen side of things, of life. So when people get possessed by a demon, stuff like that, I mean, what are we talking about? It seems to me that there are more entities.
I think when he used the first commandment, he actually misquoted it. It says, have no other God before me. Before. It doesn't say other than me, no one else. It literally says before me, meaning that you can have money, you can have other things, you can speak to other spirits, because other spirits do exist. Otherwise, explain Isaiah 11, verse 2. It literally is giving you a list of 7 of them. But you said only one. There's only God is one spirit. Only one spirit exists in the realm of your Christianity.
No, I'm saying God
surely doesn't say that.
God. So the scripture doesn't say God is spirit. We can't be select with scripture now. We can't be selective.
You have to define God now.
I think that, Nick, the question, at least my question is, in the spiritual realm, there's only one spirit, there's nothing else?
No, there is a spirit realm, but God is saying to come to him only, not to any other spirits.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about spirits. If there are spirits in the spiritual realm.
Well, he also said, remember, he's saying that you speak to that, even if it was just one spirit, you're still speaking to that one spirit or asking that one spirit for advice or guidance or something else, which is the same as voodoo.
It's not the same as voodoo.
The practicing of speaking to a spirit is still the same. You're speaking to something, whether your spirit exists and theirs don't, that's irrelevant. We're talking about a practice that's like witchcraft.
I mean, I'm trying to understand, Nick, because I have to admit, if you allow me, Nick, if you allow me, I'm trying to understand as I'm asking questions, because I could be missing something here, but it seems to me, Nick, okay, this is not trying to put you in a corner or to show you that I'm smart. No, it seems to me that in the spiritual realm, there are spirits more than one. And as a Christian, I remember I got on my knees and I was talking to a spirit, okay? And that's the same thing that people in Santeria do, because family members of mine were practicing this religion. And I know they were talking to a spirit. So I don't see the difference between Santeria, voodoo, and Christianity when it comes to praying, talking, or doing something with someone or something on the unseen side of things, talking about the spiritual realm. And we're just talking about this part. There are other 10 things that are similar in Christianity, voodoo, and Santeria.
Yeah, so like I said, it depends on what you define as a witchcraft. So
yeah.
In Christianity, also ceremonies, rituals, sacrifices, worshipping the entities or spirits and stuff like that. It's basically 99% the same thing. They are doing
yeah, so
maybe different things, but in the same way.
yeah, so witchcraft, in a sense, tries to command power outside of God. That's totally uniquely different. Whereas praying to God that is a spirit, or God who is spirit, praying to God is being submissive according to His will, and witchcraft would be classified as going against His will, going outside of His means and His will.
Nick,
that's by definition what witchcraft is.
By listening to your explanation right now, it seems to me you have never practiced Santeria or voodoo.
No.
Okay, so probably that's what you're saying. What you're saying right now, because in voodoo, Santeria, at least in Santeria, I know they are praying to God. They just call it something else. I think it's called Olodumare, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is. But Clearwater, he just said that he believes that those other spirits that are not God actually have power. Because he said they're wrong. You shouldn't pray to those. You should only pray to God. So he's actually admitting that the belief of certain other spirits actually have some kind of power in the world. That is witchcraft. They believe that these things have a power and can control supernatural outcomes.
I mean, this is a little bit. This is a little bit crossing to like a second point, a little bit, and that's what I'm saying to Nick. We're only stuck on point 1. There are like 10 more points, similarities between these religions. So, I'm trying to stick with this one for now, if it's okay with Nick, because I would like to understand. I could be wrong about these things. So far, I don't think I'm wrong in these religions being extremely similar.
Well, maybe not now, but before 100%, they are doing the same thing, just in for a different entity. Like those are saying God, and other in the voodoo or witchcraft are probably saying another name, but the act is the same. Like ceremonies, rituals, sacrifices, worshipping idols and stuff like that. It's the same.
Hold on a second. So you would attribute, for example, God offering Abraham offering up his son Isaac to God, and attribute that to witchcraft, similarly to how people speak or try to talk and engage into the spiritual realm. You would say those two are the same thing.
I would ask you a question. Would you ever sacrifice your son if God asked you to do it?
If Yahweh the Most High asked me to do so, yes.
You would kill your own son because God asked you to do so.
Oh, wow.
Nick.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Hold on.
No, let me point out. I want to point out to Chris. Hold on. I want to point out to Chris real quick. I don't know. You said you're a believer. Clearly, you're not.
Well, let me explain something to you, Nick, about Jesus, though. Jesus chose. He says, no greater love has a man than to lay his own life down for another. No one sacrificed Jesus. There was no father that laid him down to do it. He did what he did on his own accord. You're saying that you would take your child and do something as what Abraham was done. God never did that. God never, in the manner, killed his son. Humans did that. God didn't do that.
I think we're moving the conversation away from the main
Well, I'm
topic.
just playing I'm playing devil's advocate for him because you know.
Yeah,
Chris.
Nick, I take it that you don't have any sons.
No.
Yeah, that's what you say that.
No, I truly believe if I had a son and that was what was called of me, yes, I would. But
I mean,
pointing back,
Nick, if you allow me to say something else from what you just said, I'm not gonna say this disrespectfully. I think that you believe in some invisible entity because someone did this to you, okay? You were persuaded into believing this crap. To the point.
No.
So
Yeah,
if you allow me, and you
persuaded.
can tell me whatever you want after I'm done, okay? You can insult me, you can tell me whatever you want. Nobody in their right mind, as a loving, honest human being, would say what you just said. No one, honest, transparent, decent human being will say this unless you are involved in witchcraft.
Or they're deceived by a doctrine that actually is not the doctrine that's actually written in the book. So you have to understand that the Son of God that he gave you, he says in John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that those that believe in him shall be saved. The vessel of flesh, the Son of Man, we killed, that was murder. You understand that he was murdered, but he offered his own self in the sense to get murdered, but he actually had no way around it once you get arrested and you're forced by soldiers to be on a cross. But I guarantee you, when he was praying in the garden, he was sweating blood and he kept saying, if it was possible to pass this before him. But it was the people that chose the murdering, not the Father. But you have to understand there's a distinction between the Son, which is a spirit, and then the vessel of flesh, which is the living temple that it dwelt in. Humans murdered that. You can't kill the Son of God in the essence as a spirit. I'm just playing devil advocate for you. There's no spirit cannot be killed. It's a spirit. That's the Son. You believe in the Son. If you go and you want to murder people and humans and all together, God says that's wrong. He's condemning the people that killed the sacrificial lamb. He's saying that those people are wicked for look what they did. They even put a righteous man on a cross. That's sick. That's
also
sick.
like crusades and stuff like that, people are killing people left and right in the name of God. No,
All
God
day
would ask
long.
to kill other human. Like
Yeah.
if somehow God asks you to kill anybody, like I'm just said, like your own child, but if God asked me to kill anybody, like it would never happen.
Exactly. It's all wrong.
So
Murder.
Chris,
Thou shalt not murder.
So Chris, let me ask you: does the Father not command this of Abraham
No.
to offer up his son? Does he not command him to offer up his son Isaac?
When you look at this linguistically, like I was trying to explain to Robert, Abraham came from Ur of the Chaldeans. He was a Amorite, and they literally practice child sacrificing. That was normal for his time period and the group where he came from. God was bringing him away from that lifestyle of witchcraft, and he was just testing Abraham to see how brainwashed are you, Abraham? How brainwashed of that cult that you were in earlier before you came across me? Offer your son Isaac. Go ahead, do it. And he was going to do it. Did God stop him and said, Abraham, you're a freaking nut? So he gave him a ram caught instead, because even God saw what Abraham was doing is insane. But he was testing Abraham to explain and show Abraham that the cult that he was in prior before, that was not truth. That was witchcraft. That was falseness.
So what he was testing Abraham's what? What was he testing?
He was testing Abraham to see if Abraham would obey him.
Yes, he was
in
testing his
righteousness,
faith, right?
not faith.
So he wasn't testing his faith.
Remember, faith was counted. faith is counted as righteousness. So he's testing his righteousness. Faith is something that is tangible. I don't have blind faith. If I believe in something, it's because I observed it, I tested it, and I can repeat it. I don't walk around blind. The blind lead the blind. You'll both fall in a ditch if you have faith to say, I can't explain it, I just have faith in it. That's insanity.
So God was
go around and
testing
act like that.
faith. So God was testing that his faith or his righteousness was genuine.
To see if Abraham was going to actually commit such a heinous thing, and Abraham was. Do you understand? Abraham was going to do it, and God had to stop him. This is devil's advocate I'm playing there for you, just to show you something. That even in today's society, when Christians go around saying that, oh, but God gave his son to die. God never did that. His son is a spirit. The flesh vessel even tells you that no man takes my life away from me. I lay it down on my own accord, and no greater love for a man than to lay down his life for another man. That'd be like if I were to I see something happening, like a child was going to get something happen, and I stepped involved in front of it, and I'm the one that dies rather than the child. No greater love than a man to do that for another man. However, in society, we would not do that. There's nobody here who would actually do that. But here's a man written about that did do that.
But now I want to say something, Nick, and Christopher and Gudra. Nick, in my point of view, this story about testing and Isaac and the sacrifice, it seems to me this has nothing to do with a God, my friend. Nothing. If this God is testing with Abraham,
yes,
yeah, then God is not immutable. Then God is not outside of time. This is a man-made story. It's nothing to do with
yes,
God.
that's not an accurate interpretation of what God's doing. God knows the outcome of events. He's testing him in one of two ways, but he's testing his righteousness to strengthen his faith.
So
he's
Nick,
guiding him. He's guiding him.
Hold on. If that was the case, Nick, God doesn't know the result of his test already before he starts the test.
God knows. Yes, God knows God knows the outcome of everything that's circumstantial. He knows everything.
But do you see the whole in that? Like, why would I test you what is 1 + 1 if I know you're gonna say 2? If God knows what Abraham is gonna do, why is God testing him? You see the holes in the story.
It's not about God, ladies and gentlemen. It's about
doing it-
Abraham.
But hold
It
on,
has nothing
Christopher.
to do
If
with
you
God.
hold on, if you allow Nick to answer the question.
Yes, he's doing it to benefit Abraham.
Can you expand?
It has nothing to do with God being or not being omnipresent or anything like that. It has everything to do with God's sheer power and willpower to test Abraham's faith and to make sure that his faith is strong and sufficient enough.
What for?
Counsel.
What do you mean, what for?
Yeah, what for? What is God trying to achieve?
What do you think he's trying to achieve?
Yeah, the God of the universe, okay? The God of the universe.
counseling.
What is he trying to achieve by asking this man to kill his son?
Nick, say he's counseling Abraham. Therefore,
No.
then
Christopher,
they
come
can't
on.
get around that.
I
Clearwater
think-
can't get around that
Come
because his
on,
own parents will counsel
Christopher,
him.
I think that Nick can answer himself. He's an adult.
Just telling
We're
you.
all brothers.
Oh,
We should
somebody
all be
else
able
did.
to.
My
help each other.
question was the Alpha, the Omega, creator
Beginning and the
of the
end.
universe, is here in this hill or mountain testing a man if he's going to kill his son. What for?
My response to you was, what do you think? He's testing his faith.
What for?
Do
To
you see
strengthen
This
it?
life is a test. Because
do you
this
see
life
the-
is a test.
Someone
If he was
has
testing
to
his faith,
let Nick answer the question, please.
I just answered the question. He's testing his faith. I know it's not the answer you want to hear, but that's the answer.
Yes, okay. He's testing his faith. What for?
Yes. To strengthen it.
What for?
Why do you take any test, Clearwater? Why do you take a
Nick,
math test?
what for?
For counsel to get wiser, to
Okay,
understand more
why
truth.
does the God of the universe, the Alpha, the Omega, the immutable that doesn't change,
Preach.
want
Because
this
he loves
man
us. Because he loves us.
to be
But
tested?
Clearwater,
Man,
wait a minute, Clearwater.
guys, it's impossible to have a simple conversation with one
But
person at a
Clearwater,
time.
you're making. But
I'm
Clearwater, you're
asking,
making the
I'm
assumption.
asking
You're
Nick
making the
a
assumption, Clearwater.
question.
But Clearwater, you're making the
As far
assumption
as
that
I
Abraham
understand,
is like God.
no, hold on.
Abraham's not as wise as God and all-knowing as God. So as human
Nick,
beings, we have to be tested and taught that
Nick
to understand
believes
greater
Nick
things.
believes
Let's
something.
let Christopher finish. Let's
No,
let
no,
Christopher
guys,
finish.
we
instead of interrupting.
cannot do this way. Everybody yelling and talking at the same time. You know, I spent
Agreed.
like a
Let's
half an
let
hour
Christopher
quiet on the live stream. Redeem, you know, no need to be yelling, man.
I'm not
Go
yelling,
ahead,
bro.
Clearwater. No, go ahead, Clearwater. I was
I'm
just trying to show you,
asking Nick
Clearwater,
the
that he
question:
can't be
why
as God.
would the immutable God that doesn't change, that is sitting outside of time, not bound by time, space, Alpha, the Omega, okay, is talking to this microscopic human being, wanting to kill his son, to test him, to test his faith? What for? That's not a trick question. Nick, do you want to answer that question? What for? Don't tell me to test his faith. Why does God of the universe, creator of the universe, why wants to test this man's faith? What for? Especially when
Because he
God
loves him.
already knows what's the answer.
Because he loves them.
Clearwater, if you were raised as
So,
Roman Catholic,
Christopher, hold on a
I
second.
know-
Hold on a second,
Oh, wait,
please.
this
Hold
is
on,
important.
you're not allowed.
Clearwater,
Hold on, you're not allowed to answer that question that he just asked you. You're not allowed to answer it. Hold on, go ahead.
Clearwater, this is important because
No,
as a
Christopher,
Catholic,
if you allow me just to finish for one moment, and I'll let you speak, okay? Yeah, I'll let you speak.
Okay, but I'm
So
just saying
what
that
I
you practice.
just
Let's let
experienced,
Clearwater finish because he's
man,
not going to let
guys,
anybody else finish.
I don't want to be muting anybody. I think we're adults here. So basically, what I got from this conversation with Nick was nothing. It seems to me that this is because I'm trying to get in a conversation to find out if I am wrong, okay? But it seems to me that this story, that the immutable God, creator of the universe, having a conversation with some man in a hidden place to kill his son to test his faith, is a man-made story. That's what I got from Nick.
So
No one killed anyone. No
Nick,
one killed
thank you for
anyone.
unmuting yourself. Can you please answer the question? If you don't mind, you don't have to, okay?
Can I respond?
Sure.
Okay. So your question was, why does someone like God, who is all-knowing, do this to Abraham? My answer was to test and to strengthen his faith.
Yes.
Your answer afterwards is, I don't like that answer.
No, I
That's
didn't
your
say
response.
anything. I asked you a question.
And that was
I like
the
that
answer.
answer.
You didn't like the
I
answer.
like that.
No, Nick,
I like
you
the-
say to test his faith, okay? And because I still don't understand, I ask you the next question. What for?
The answer was to strengthen.
Okay, so
And you didn't like that response.
Nick, yeah, okay, I didn't like it. Forget it then. I still think it's man-made. I thought you were gonna convince me of something else, but
Okay,
it is man-made.
But
It's whether or not he would obey God, whether he would obey God or not. That's the answer to the next one, Clearwater. That he was testing him to see whether he would obey him or not. The same way your mother will bake you some cookies, Clearwater, set them on the counter,
Christopher,
and give you one, and then
Let him
tell you
finish. Let
don't
him
eat.
finish.
there, Christopher.
Don't eat any more of those cookies, Clearwater, or you're going to be
Let him
grounded.
finish.
You see what I'm saying? So
you
right
know,
there,
when
if you had presents underneath the Christmas tree,
Let
Clearwater.
him finish.
If you have
Okay.
presents underneath the Christmas tree, Clearwater, and your parents tell you don't
Christopher,
open them.
Christopher, I'm gonna have to mute you,
Let
man.
Christopher finish.
Christopher, are you listening to
Let
me? I'm gonna have to
Christopher
mute you.
It's not me. He's saying, let me finish.
Come
So,
on, guys.
Nick,
Just
Nick, is that your final answer? I don't want to accept your response. Is that your final answer?
Okay,
Yeah. Well,
Regis.
can I extrapolate?
I'm just want to get clear. Is that your final answer to my question?
Your question was, why did God do this? The answer
Redeem.
was
Hold on a
and
second.
strengthen.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let me mute. Redeem is
Yeah,
asking like I think like a childish. Go ahead, Nick.
Okay, so the answer was to test and to strengthen Abraham's faith.
Mhm.
Now, I wanted to extrapolate because I'm trying to engage with you.
Mhm.
Your response just a few seconds ago was, well, it doesn't matter. I believe it's make believe anyway. That lets me know you're not trying to openly engage.
Yes, but I because I want to continue engaging
Yes.
and to understand, I ask you. So, if God wanted to test the Abraham faith, I ask you, what do you think the creator of the universe wants to do that for? It's a fair
Do you
question.
not think it'd be? Do you not think God would do it for His own benefit?
Whose benefit?
Do you not think it's Abraham's benefit?
Okay, what does the Abraham is gonna gain from being tested by the creator of the universe?
If he's willing to take his faith in God to the extent that he was willing to offer his son Isaac up, then there's no thing or no person that can separate him from God.
So this is not only to test Abraham. There's something that God is also gaining from this, right?
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
So
I don't think God's getting anything out
God
of
doesn't
it.
gain anything from this relationship with Abraham. Nick?
Yeah, I wouldn't extrapolate on that question, but I don't think he's God is not in need of Abraham.
It seems to me that he is in need of something because he's there and he's testing someone, so he has to have some interest.
He's relational, yes,
Yes,
but he's not
okay.
in need.
Okay, forget about in need. He's in interest.
Yeah, relational.
Yeah, so he's getting something out of this. Otherwise, he would not
he's
be
still not getting
interested.
something out of it.
Well, wait, what is God gaining, Clearwater, out of, as you're pointing out, because you're the one making the,
It
he must be
seems,
gaining something.
it seems
What
to
would you say
me,
he's gaining.
yeah, it seems to me that this, my first thought when I hear this story, it sounds absolutely ridiculous, man-made story. It's a really bad man-made story, okay? But
Worst
I'm
story.
accepting that I could be wrong. Maybe I'm not seeing the supernatural, fantastic creator of the universe having the possibility of getting himself very tiny microscopic, okay, and engaging with another human being in a place where nobody can see them, okay, to
Nope,
test
somebody's
him.
there.
Okay,
wait,
someone
Clearwater,
else is there.
somebody is
Okay,
there.
someone else is
Yeah,
there.
somebody else is there.
Yes. To test him to see if he obeys and have faith in this creator of the universe.
But isn't it strange, like the creator of the universe, the most powerful being in the universe, is in such a need for our love, for our faith, for testing us, even though he knows what we're gonna do. He is so much. He's so much connected with the humans affair. He's so much interfering with us without any why God needs our worship. Like
And,
I don't know.
Yeah, and one more thing, Charles Oliver points out, Clearwater's Abraham didn't need faith. Wasn't he talking to God on multiple occasions? What was his God testing his faith for?
Which
Is
God was
testing his obedience?
Yes.
Well,
absolutely.
Which one is doing it first of all, guys? Because you see this word God, God is not Elohim here. It's Jehovah Elohim that's testing him. The Father's not testing Abraham. Someone else is testing Abraham.
What?
And it says, that's literally what's in the text. It doesn't say Elohim, that's Father. Who's testing Abraham is the Son. The Son, it's Jehovah Elohim is the one that's testing Abraham. And of course, the reason he would want to do it is because the Son took on a vessel of flesh.
Wow, Nick. So that's a curve. Apparently, God was not testing Abraham, according to Christopher.
Father wasn't testing Abraham, because the word there is Yahweh. Yahweh is understanding I am that I am, and the only one who is that they are in that sense is a vessel of flesh that has the HaKodesh in them, and that is referring to the Son of God with the Son of Man as an image, because it says before Abraham was, I am, and Abraham spoke to God, Yahweh, face to face.
So in the case of Nick, Christopher, he believed that it was God, the creator of the universe, that was testing Abraham. Okay? It sounds to me that a creator of a universe would not be interested in testing anyone's obedience or faith, because for a God of the universe that has everything, there's nothing to gain of interested in having this conversation of testing someone to see if they killed their child or not.
I understand that, but I think what they're getting wrong, and I think you might not know, Clearwater, is this. So Elohim is Father, and the Father only beget one. And through the one, the light, all things are made. Our God is not the Father. Our Creator is the Son. A lot of Christians fail to understand that in the linguistics that's written. They think the Father is their Creator. That's not what's written in the text. It says the Son is the one that created. Through him, all things are made. That's 1 John chapter 1, verse 3. Through him, all things are made. Nothing was created without him.
So
him
you think
is
that,
the Son.
Christopher, what are you saying, that Nick is wrong?
If the Christians believe that the Father is the one testing Abraham, yes, they are. It's the Son who is the one doing the testing. And why is the Son testing Abraham? Is in guidance to show Abraham a better way. Because it was the Son before the foundation of the world, the Lamb was already slain. That's why I brought up in the very beginning, I brought up Amos chapter 5, so you could read it to let you understand what God actually says about all these practices that God hates.
Who was this Son testing Abraham?
Jesus, right?
No. Jesus is not born yet. Jesus is later born by a virgin. That's a prophecy.
What do you think about that, Nick?
Yeah, no, it's the Father testing him.
I hear this story for the first time, man. I hear this story for the first time, Christopher.
Okay, well, let's actually go to the verse. Go to the verse, right? Pull up the verse. You got a Strong's Concordance? Pull up the verse and tap on that English word, G-O-D, and you tell me what that Strong's Concordance says there. Does it say Elohim, Jehovah Elohim, or Yahweh? You tell me. Because those all have different meanings, and they also have different functions.
In your view, Christopher, this is a supernatural being testing Abraham?
No, it's not even a supernatural being. There's a physical entity there, because if you read, somebody stops Abraham and grabs Abraham's hand. Who stops Abraham and grabs his hand physically?
Christopher,
from doing this action.
Stop for a moment, please, because I think you're bombarding Nick. Nick, do you want to say something about what Christopher is saying?
No, I'm just gonna stick to what the early church history teaches and the early church fathers teach, that
call no man your father, Nick. Call no man your father, Nick.
Okay. Hold on, Christopher. Nick, if you don't mind, just going back to my final question. Okay, I don't bother you anymore. The what for? the testing Abraham when God already knows the results of the test. Let's say, what does Abraham gains, if you don't want to make it into what God is gaining from this, what Abraham is going to gain from this, being him the one that is already talking to God in different occasions.
So you're asking what Abraham is benefiting from it?
Yes. Why would the creator of the universe come down here just to test this guy? And in which horrible way to try to kill his son?
I mean,
what for? Okay, so you responded to test his faith.
Yes.
And I the first thing that comes to my mind, what for? Why would a creator of the universe, a supernatural being, will do this for? What for? Even when he knows the answer already.
Again, I think I've answered it on multiple occasions. I mean, it's probably going to be the same answer.
But do you understand? I'm sorry,
the creator of the universe.
Yeah,
the creator of your universe didn't have a better way to strengthen his faith than to ask him to kill his own son. Like, that sounds like a joke, right?
I mean, the most intelligent being in the universe came with some act of violence to test him. The most intelligent being in the universe that already knows the results of the test is testing this guy to do an act of violence. I mean, I'm trying to keep a straight face just like Gudra. I mean, I'm not trying to laugh, but it's really hard not to laugh this ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous story. But I think that probably I'm missing something, because you sound very convincing when you and me were not there. So obviously you're believing someone else's story.
Yeah, I believe and I hold to what the early churches teach, yes.
Yeah. Nick, thank you so much, man. I'm not going to bother you. I don't think I'm going to understand anything else from what I already know and understand. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to I'm not upset at God. I have a big problem, Nick. I can think. I'm sorry.
By the way, it's found in Genesis. It's found in Genesis 22, verse 2, is where all this is taking place. And that's why I wanted you guys to understand something about the word G-O-D. Who is the one that's doing the tempting? And then who is the one that stops Abraham from it? And when you look at this, you're going to find out the Elohim are tempting Abraham. Now, remember what I told you about Clearwater, what the Elohim was? Those are the 7 spirits that are within a human being. So Abraham himself is contemplating this within his own mind. Within his own mind, he's contemplating sacrificing his son to God. This is what's in the text. This is actually linguistics.
God came in a random galaxy on a random planet to a random guy to test his faith.
It's not a random. Listen, it's not a random thing. When you understand it, it's not random, because we all question our choices and decisions. This is the 7 spirits in all of us. We all do this. Abraham took it to another extreme. He was going to sacrifice his son. That's a little bit crazy, yes, on the context of it. But if you scroll down even more into this verse, in verse 10, and Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And then in verse 11, and it says, the angel, and there that word there is Moloch, so there's a man present, and a man of who? And that word there is Jehovah. Jehovah stopped him from doing it. Because he's contemplating within his own mind, reason within his own self. He's thinking like some crazy voodoo man who's going to sacrifice something to something when this person never asked him to do this. But within his own mind, he's thinking that I'm going to do this
on behalf of God to show God I love him. This is what the text is actually saying for you guys to understand linguistics.
Christopher,
Jehovah stops it.
can you resume it in like 1 or 2 sentences? What are you saying? That this has nothing to do with a supernatural being, or yes?
No. It has to do with his own mind. He's got the 7 spirits. He's contemplating, you know, like anybody. How can I make God pleased? How can I please my creator? I know. I'll sacrifice my son. Sounds like a good idea. Come on, Isaac, let's go. And then he builds a little altar and puts some fire underneath it or whatever, and he pulls his knife out. And right when he's about to do it, all of a sudden Jehovah comes. This angel of the Lord shows up and says, what the hell are you doing? Puts a stop to it. Puts a stop to it.
So this is not a real angel.
An angel is a man. It's a Moloch. So it's if you want to look at it in who this is, it is the Son of God in the vessel of a human being.
Where are you getting this information from?
Okay, so you understand what the HaKodesh is. You're a Catholic. You were raised in it.
The what?
They never taught you. They never taught you this properly.
Yeah, say it again.
So life itself, remember I was telling you about the homosexual thing. If you're gonna destroy life, you're an adversary to God. It's not that Satan's an entity. You're against life. You want to destroy life? That is wrong. So in the act of what Abraham was contemplating in himself, in his own 7 spirits, he has life as well in him, which is the breath of life from the source of, which is Jehovah, who got his source from Elohim. Jehovah's coming to put a stop to this man's unreasonable action and telling him to stop.
This could be,
and that's exactly what he did.
This could be
This is the linguistics that's there in the story, because you were taught in a religion, and I understand, Clearwater, I was in the same thing. It does, and you know, one time I contemplated, I was like, what kind of God is going to sit there and want to kill somebody's child? That's foolishness. That's insanity. But then when I started doing a linguistic study to find out, okay, what is God in reality that the Hebrew language is speaking of? That is an internal 7 spirits, life itself, counsel, understanding, knowledge, wisdom. Some people don't have a lot of understanding. They're idiots, and they do stupid things. Abraham was one of them. So God tested him. That 7 spirits was testing him to jump off of a bridge. So if you are stupid enough, you're going to do it. Here, Abraham is a stupid man. He's about to do something stupid. And here, the very life that gave him life, the Son of God comes and stops him and says, that's stupid. Don't do that.
Christopher, again, I ask you again, I didn't pick up the answer the first time. Where are you getting this information from?
It's in Genesis 22. It starts at verse 2 and it ends in verse 12. You read that story properly in linguistics, you're going to understand what the Hebrew is writing in that language. It's an internal struggle of a man's mind, contemplating what he can do for God.
Okay, hold on a second.
Oh, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this sports game, and I'm going to win it for God.
Brother, you're bombarding us.
Yeah, hold on a second. Hold on a second, Christopher. It says here, sometime later, God tested Abraham. So we start very wrong.
This is a great movie. You need to sell this story, man.
Yeah, so what are you saying? I'm reading the Bible right now, and it says very clearly, sometime later, God tested Abraham.
What verse are you at?
Genesis 22.
Verse what?
Verse 1.
And it came to pass, after these things, that, tap that word God, it's Elohim.
Okay,
that's 7 internal spirits. That's not an entity.
Which verse?
The first verse where you just read. That word God there is Elohim. That's Elohim.
Yeah, but
that's always
Christopher,
internal.
I ask you, where are you getting this information from? You told me the Bible. I went to the Bible and it says God.
God is an English translation. Are you aware that that's not the original language, right?
Okay, do you have any
God is not the
Bible
original
that I
language.
can find the original? Because
All you got to do is ask for Google or whatever, however you got with. Say, I want Genesis 22 Strong's Concordance. Just say Strong's Concordance, and Strong's Concordance will pull you up every word that has its meaning in the actual Hebrew, the original language it was written in. It'll give you the definition, the meaning, how it's used as a verb, as an action, as an adverb, as a noun. It'll give you all those definitions and academics.
Slow down, Christopher. Genesis 22, what you said to put on Google?
Genesis 22, verse 1, Strong's Concordance.
Strong's
Concordance. CONCORDANCE.
Okay, found it. Yes, okay, I found it. Let me see. Hold on.
Go to that word God. Go to that word God and find the original meaning. That English word, that's why everything's corrupted.
Okay,
they took
so
it linguistically, they messed it up, and now you got all these crazy beliefs.
yeah, so I got it says here, the Strong's Concordance, Genesis 22. I start reading 22 verse 1. It reads, and it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham.
Now tap that word, God. It should be H4. You should see it says H430. I believe that's the number, H430. And tell me what the original word for God was.
Elohim.
Elohim. Now what does Elohim mean? 7 spirits. What are the 7 spirits I told you?
Can I correct something? Can I correct something right quick that you're doing here? You're assuming a univocality inside of the text and that every writer had the same unified understanding and ideology, and they didn't. So what you're doing is you're assuming the writer of Genesis had knowledge that are ideas or concepts that came around hundreds of years later when Isaiah wrote them. So you're assuming that there's some kind of underlying univocal framework that is not expressed anywhere in Genesis or by the writer of Genesis. This is in Isaiah. And you're hold on, let me finish.
Robert wants proof. I'm gonna give him evidence, Clearwater. I'm gonna give him linguistic pictograph evidence of the actual letters and the meaning of those letters, Elohim.
Hold on, Christopher.
No vowels,
I just look up
consonants.
I just look up
Check
the
this
word.
out.
I just look up the word Elohim, and it says Elohim is a Hebrew. Elohim is a Hebrew word that translates
Plural.
to God, gods, or divine beings.
Beings, divine beings, in the essence that it is 7 spirits.
That
Seraphim.
is not, 7 is not a thing that is intrinsical to the word.
Bro, don't lie. You're not an educated man like me. You don't know what seraphim means.
You can say whatever you want on it, Christopher. There is no scholarship that thinks Elohim is intrinsically 7 spirits.
He doesn't know. He's playing a bad guy right here.
No.
Actually,
Clearwater,
let me explain something to you. Tell me this, Clearwater. What is seraphim? What is the meaning of seraphim?
Can you please?
Do you know the meaning of seraphim? Yes or no? I'm very calm.
Calm down.
Answer my question. I'm calm.
No.
Answer my question, Clearwater. What is seraphim? What do they mean? Seraphim.
Hold on, please.
This guy wanted evidence. He wanted evidence. I'm gonna get him evidence right here. I'm gonna bust his linguistic skills. He's very uneducated.
Christopher, I'm trying
you know what a menorah is?
Christopher.
Candlesticks. Do you know why it has 7 candlesticks?
We're trying to have a conversation here.
Yes.
This is not how it works, man. You just talk all the time.
Yeah, I know you get excited.
They're all mad at me because I'm destroying their logic and reasoning.
No.
You're illogical and reasonable. Yeah, it is fact. I told you. I asked you a question. What is seraphim?
I think that when you start screaming like that, like the way you are doing it right now, that tells me that probably you're trying to.
It tells me you're not listening.
No.
It tells me you're not listening. That's what it tells me.
You're going to have to mute.
Because I asked the question, and you did not give me an answer. Instead, you say, why are you upset? Why are you upset? Answer the question. Don't worry about whether I'm being loud or not. I asked you, what does seraphim mean?
I don't think you're doing yourself a favor by screaming, because you are screaming. I think that unconsciously.
I can bring my phone way down here. It's the same voice.
Yeah,
if I
but
bring my phone up here, it's much louder because it's right by my face.
we're trying to
The
I'll
have
only
a,
reason
answer
I'm
your
doing this
question though, but
is
these are
because
two words.
not
Cherubim
listening
means
to
singular,
me.
and cherubim
You're
means
listening.
plural.
Cherubim is plural. I am at the end of it is
Correct.
plural. A
But
cherub
the
is
singular
singular.
word of that
You
is
know,
cherub.
you just got finished saying cherubim was singular.
No, I
Liar.
said cherub is singular. Cherubim is
No,
plural.
you didn't.
Listen
I'm
to
the one who
me.
said that, not you. I said that to you just
It's
now. You just
literally
got finished saying.
recorded. You can
Yeah,
rewind
it is
it.
literally recorded. Yeah, rewind it right now and see it, everybody. I said
Please do.
cherub is singular. You said cherubim
Yes.
is the singular form. I said no,
No,
it has I am
cherubim
at the
is
end
the
of it. It's plural.
But what does this have to do with this
Cherubim.
text that said Elohim?
So he doesn't understand what
The-
is the Elohim. The Elohim are the seraphim. How many seraphim are there? And what do seraphim mean?
so how do you go from translating Elohim, which looking it up, it says God, gods, or divine beings.
God's many divine beings.
I don't read 7 divine beings here.
Okay, now, when you understand Hebrew and you understand the Israelite culture, you got to do more than academics. You can't just have linguistics here. You have to actually go into the culture of the people. When they read Elohim, what are they assuming Elohim presents as those divine beings? In their culture, they call that seraphim. And there are 7 seraphim. And those seraphim have names. And one of those names is Gabor. Gabor later becomes Gabriel. Another one of those is Michael. So you get in Christianity and Roman Catholicism, you should know this. There are 7 archangels in Roman Catholicism that you have heard of. And they have the name Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Sariel, Sar Shalom, which becomes Sariel later on in the Roman Catholicism, which is a mistranslation again, because you're taking a text from the Hebrew. These all have meanings. The Gabriel means the might or power of God. Michael means
Can
the
I ask you
everlasting
a
Father,
question?
or
Can I
one
ask
who is
you one
like
question,
God.
Christopher? Can I ask you one question? Do you think this is communication? You're yapping non-stop, 300 an hour, like we don't.
Are you
understand
looking up?
how
Are you just gonna? Are you gonna whine and cry? Are you actually
He's
looking
here
this
to
up? What I'm
preach,
telling
y'all.
you?
He's not here to talk.
Christopher, if you allow me
So
for
are you
just
looking
one,
it up? Are you looking this
Yeah,
up?
I mean, we
or
don't
not?
have to look it up. There's only
Christopher.
two angels named in the canonical Bible. There's only 2. That's just a fact.
What is an
Um,
angel? What is an angel?
Well,
You just said
the
2 angels
thing that
listed
is
in the canonical
defined as
Bible.
an angel in the Bible. We're talking about it. Daniel names Michael. We have other scriptures that name the
Raphael,
other angel. Michael
Raphael,
and
one of them.
Gabriel is all that's
Yeah.
named.
Christopher, can you please be silent just for 1 minute, please?
It's
Can you
canon.
please?
It's codex. Codex
Christopher,
Synopsis.
Christopher, can
There's
you be
2
silent for
codexes.
just 1 minute, please? You know,
Go ahead.
everything that you've been saying in between the yelling and screaming, because you are, okay? I've been looking up what you've been saying, and to my surprise, okay, by looking by what you're saying in Google, it sounds like you're correct. Because
My
it's
friend,
saying that
I'm not-
Elohim is described alongside the 7 spirits who are before his throne. And this referencing Revelation 1.4. Later, these are shown as 7 burning lamps of fire, Revelation 4, verse 5, because seraphim translates to burning ones. Many biblical scholars view these 7 burning spirits as the highest order of Elohim, angelic beings, serving right at God's throne. So, hold on. Let me ask you
Thank
something.
you for looking it up. Thank
Okay,
you for
but-
looking it up.
Yes, but
right?
let
Instead
me
of
ask you
just
something,
saying,
Christopher.
No, like Robert.
Christopher, let me ask you something. So, from what you're saying, you think that Christians, I mean, they have everything pretty much wrong?
Yes, very wrong. Like it's become, like you said, it's freaking a cult of crazy witchcraft nonsense. They don't even understand that those 7, the seraphim, the burning things,
That is what is part of life itself. I have life in me. You have life in you. We also have counsel, knowledge, and understanding. Now, not all of us have the same amount of spirit poured upon us. Some people are dumber than others, right, Robert? Some people are dumber than others.
I
Some people
remember
are yelling more than others.
Yeah. Try to
Christopher,
Christopher.
want to call me dumb? Just say it.
Christopher.
I'm not calling you. I'm asking you a question. Some people
Christopher,
are less educated or dumber than others.
Let me make a recommendation if you don't mind. I mean, you seem to be very knowledgeable, but you are ruining this knowledge by yelling and screaming because you are my friend. I think we better engage in conversations and let other people talk. It seems to me, I mean, you're not doing anything wrong, but you're letting your excitement take the best of you, and it's not coming out very well. So please take a deep breath. I know probably it's frustrating for you to have information that you think that is valuable, and you want other people to listen to you, but you're ruining yourself, my friend. It's very hard for me to follow you.
No, because I have my own YouTube channel. I run it, Captain Skeleton Man.
So
Captain Skeleton Man, I have my own YouTube channel. Anybody can come and debate me and talk to me. No, it's why I scream and yell in the sense that you're trying to say is when I'm around very uneducated people who have none of this.
Man, Christopher.
Right? When you don't know what the truth is, it's for a teacher. It's very frustrating because it's like, wait a minute. I thought all of you people knew this. None of you have actually studied your books. You just believe what anybody tells you.
If you allow me for a second, I have learned in my life, I'm 54 years old. When I handle something, I have a skill in my life and I have no patience for people that I'm teaching stuff. I'm now understanding my life that myself acting like this is called arrogance. Because someone that has knowledge about life and you're supposed to be more smart than other people, I think you should be also smart and have control of yourself. And you're not doing that.
I'm very well controlled on my own channel.
You're not coming out that way. I'm sorry. I don't know why we're even talking about this, Christopher, because, man, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge,
You just agreed I am right. Therefore,
yes.
You don't want any more
about revelations. I agree that you're right. You're right with the revelationary concept, but this wasn't in Genesis.
You see who jumps in and why I have to yell. You see who jumps in.
You don't know how basic
but Christopher, this is a concept that is in Revelations. It doesn't mean that it's a univocal concept that was in Genesis.
Trying to act like you're educated for the audience. Please don't do that.
Do you think that all of these writers are univocal, Christopher? Christopher, no, you're not a damn scholar, Christopher. Let's stop pretending now.
Any scholarship whatsoever. I write thesis papers.
Christopher, you're so far off. I can just talk over you if you want to do this.
Tell me your thesis paper. Tell me your thesis paper you've written. You know how many I've written? You don't want to know how many I've written?
If they're jack shit, dog shit, if they're like this, Christopher, they're absolutely so far from the scholarship.
You know why
they're talking kooky nonsense. Revelations has the concept of these being spirits, like angels. Genesis does not possess that.
I can act there. I can be boastful. I can be whatever I want.
These are
because I teach fucking scholars, moron.
These are as much as 900 years apart. Why would you think that the writer of Genesis had the same concept of the writer of Revelation? Just answer that one question, Christopher. Why would Genesis writers have the same concept of Revelations? Please tell me why.
Why they have the same concept is because they know what's going on, unlike you. They know what they're worshiping. You don't. You've got concocted into a doctrine of devil, created into a witchcraft form.
So this is
your knowledge. That's your knowledge.
These texts are incorruptible. He believes that they have some kind of power, and that there's some sacredness to these words, and that they're not separate people with separate concepts. He believes in a concept of univocality and non-contradictory, and that he doesn't think these people can have totally different concepts.
Tell me what non-contradictory means. Tell me. You use a big word.
It means that they're not contradicting.
Huh? He does not even understand the big words
Oh.
he's using, Clearwater.
So we got another crazy
You
definition of
have to
non-contradictory.
you
now?
actually have to pay attention to when people speak, Clearwater, because sometimes men will use big words to make themselves sound
Just
intelligent.
answer the
But then when you
question,
look at
Christopher.
what
Why
the
are you
words
so
that they're
dodgy,
using,
man? You
they
are dodgy as
actually
a car
don't.
salesman. Do
Look, you see right
believe
there,
that the
this
texts are
man has written
univocal
theses
and
papers
oral?
back. Look at the comment section. Joseph, that's Joseph. It's a
This is
fact that I've written
disgusting,
theses
man.
papers,
Just mute
buddy.
this guy. Just mute
I
this
don't care
guy.
if you've
So-
written thesis paper. The scholar,
Now,
that does not make you.
Clearwater,
So
let me
let
explain
me
something
s-
to you about something. If you were in a fallacy of a doctrine that you were taught wrong from the birth, and you think that you're wise about it, anything and everything that you're going to state from that doctrine from now on is in a state of fallacy. So someone like me comes along, I correct your doctrine. You cannot understand it because you have been in that Roman Catholicism and you were taught what they believe about the doctrine.
So,
They
so
So
believe
here's
a
what
certain
makes you
word
look
means
like a
this.
bald-faced liar.
They believe a
This is
certain
what
word
makes you
means
look
that.
like it.
But that's
Christopher,
Since you
actually
said
not
you were a
true.
scholar, instead of citing
I
what
find it funny.
university you graduated from or what your degree was, you started with saying, I wrote these papers, not with,
Yep.
I got a degree in X from X university. You didn't go there. That's not what you did. Instead, you said, I wrote a paper.
What you did?
As some
You
type
wanna
of
know- we wanna know
evidentiary
what my
support,
degree is, don't you?
you
You
are a
want to know what my
scholar.
degree is. You want to know what my degree is, don't
I
you?
don't think you have a degree, so
I
sure.
don't think you have a degree. Sure.
Christopher,
Man, you're
what,
the most arrogant guy I ever
Uneducated man I have ever met.
So
Most
I'm
uneducated-
listening. I'm ready for the
Robert
answer.
comes back.
So,
Robert comes back
Robert,
because he's
do you-
wanting to play on
before
your
we
show. He
finish
wants to be
the
the
live stream,
educated man.
do you want
Answer the question. What's
what is the question,
degree?
Robert?
What university did you receive it
He
from?
doesn't even,
If you
he
want to do
doesn't
that
even
one.
listen. He doesn't even listen, does he? Doesn't even listen.
Wow,
Yeah, I heard you not answer it several times now.
Doesn't even
Uh,
listen, do you? Because you
hey,
were
wrote a
talking.
paper. That's what
You
you
didn't hear
said.
me. All right, more than one paper. More than one
Christopher,
paper.
Christopher,
Guys, I'm leaving. I'm
yeah.
leaving, guys.
Yeah, I gotta
Guys,
go too.
thank
You are
you,
the
Libra.
largest dodger I have ever talked to on this channel.
Go
so
ahead.
far.
Go
You
ahead.
dodge
You can
questions.
ad hominem me all day long. Ad hominem.
I mean, that's not an ad hominem. I think everyone in
Yes,
the
it is.
side chat has
Attack
mentioned
him,
that you're
Mike.
dodging these
Everyone
questions.
in the side
The other
chat
gentleman
is
in
not.
this chat
Oh,
has
he's
said
not.
that you were
Yeah,
dodging
yeah.
questions. Like everyone
Listen
here knows
to
you're
me.
dodging.
This is what somebody does. They try to go to the chat, which is the peanut gallery, for assistance because they're losing a debate.
Then,
so they go
then
to
do
the
me a
peanut gallery
favor,
and says,
Christopher.
"Look
Here's
what
a
everybody's
here's a
saying.
problem.
Look what everybody's
Just think of
saying."
this. Answer the fucking question. Just do that. Maybe try that on. Try that on for size.
You see what I did? You see what I do, Clearwater? Is I pull out the actual identity of people. I love, Clearwater. I
No,
love
that he has
I
never
have to stop
answered
I'm a
this,
cussing
guys.
man.
and he won't.
I'm
He's
a
not a
cussing
scholar.
man.
He's
But when
he's
people come to your
representing
channel,
himself
listen,
wrongly on your channel
You know,
because
Christopher,
he doesn't have the pedigree.
Yeah,
I thought you were
Christopher.
leaving. I thought you were leaving.
No,
I thought you were
Christopher.
leaving.
I just wanted to
No,
point out
Christopher,
that you
hold
are a
on a
liar
second.
and a dodger,
Christopher.
and you won't admit that you don't have a degree.
I actually have one. On my channel. Come to my channel. It's all there, buddy. All there.
Is it all there? Just say the damn degree in the university, Dodge.
Come to my channel. Subscribe to my channel and come see it.
Wow,
You don't get free education.
Christopher,
You want free education?
You're
Christopher.
the most yapping human I ever heard in my life. You can't stop talking, and you are.
Christopher, this is what a
Clearwater, they think ganging up on me is something that affects me. I've been ganged up by more people than you, higher educated than you, bro.
Christopher.
Higher educated than any of them.
This unfortunately,
mentally,
funny.
Very weak mentally.
And you're right, Sunnyside, you're absolutely right. Degrees don't make people smart. I love that statement. That's 100% correct.
Hey, Christopher.
Because I know many people in academia who have degrees in different things, but then when they come across me, I actually teach them the things that they don't know, and then they.
Okay, Christopher,
before
we finish the live stream,
no
let me ask you, Christopher, what in the world just happened here?
He's having a panic attack.
No, hold on a second, listen. Christopher. It seems to me that something triggered you. What happened? I mean, I was starting to listen to you, to track you, to research the information that you were saying.
You want me to tell you? I'll tell you.
Robert
Christopher, hold
interrupted
on.
us.
Christopher, hold on a
Robert
second.
interrupted us and
Christopher,
started to act as if he knew the truth when
but
you
Christopher,
brought it up, and then you say, no, what you're saying is absolutely true.
You're interrupting me can you let me talk for a moment, please?
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, Christopher, you sound very, you handle this information really good. And then it turned ugly. Why?
And you wanted to know why.
What
why?
for?
Okay, I'm telling you why. This guy, Robert, earlier in the conversation, I take notice of what people do, right? I very much pay attention in conversations. This guy, Robert, was using words. See, now he's going to laugh. He's not going to let me speak.
No, that's good.
I heard what he was saying using certain words. And some of the words that he was using were not the proper definition that he should have been using when he's giving conversation. So right away, I saw that this man is somebody who just maybe he saw words in the dictionary, remembered them, memorized them, and then he goes to a podcast and he wants to speak big words to make himself sound intelligent.
Okay,
a lot of people do that.
Okay,
but like that guy said, Sunnyside, that don't make you intelligent just because you know big words, neither.
Okay,
but what got me frustrated, I'm answering your question.
Okay,
what got me frustrated is when I gave you a truth and I was trying to show you something to look up so you can actually see it without me telling you, don't believe me, go to the actual word and look at it yourself. And you tell me what it is. I wanted you to do that homework to see that I'm not lying to you. This is academic standards that are true, and the academia agrees in it. When he said the academia does not agree and what I was saying, that ticked me off. For years, we have pushed this in academia to be a fact and true. And it's people like him that comes along that tells other people, like in the gallery here, that lies to get them to think that someone like me is not right.
Okay.
And it is.
Okay, Christopher.
So I wanted you to look it up, and you did, and I appreciate you looking it up and saying, "Oh yes, it's actually what I'm saying is true."
Christopher,
but now,
hold on, please, hold on, back and forth. Okay. Christopher, you know how many times I have engaged in these conversations and people insult me, call me names, and I believe that I'm right about what I'm saying, okay? And I don't stand yelling and screaming to people. I let people talk. It's not until the last moment of insulting and screaming that I have to block someone from talking. And from all the people that have done that, I have only blocked one person, okay? It seems to me, Christopher, that unfortunately this conversation took a negative turn. The thing with Robert from Skeptic Philosophy, man, the guy is smart, Christopher, okay? He is a skeptic. He likes to ask questions. He likes to understand. He likes to research. He, like you and me, could be wrong. Where nobody's perfect. I think it would have been a perfect opportunity for you to maybe question him and get in a conversation, and you probably come up as being the correct one. But you took it seems to me, Christopher, you took the emotional side.
I tried. I asked him questions. He would not answer them. He wasn't really paying attention.
But Christopher, you were yelling and screaming. I was telling you, please stop. Christopher, my main point, because it's been already more than 3 hours and I'll only do 3 hours of live stream. Man, Christopher, I really hope that this is not the last time you join the stream. And if it happens next time, man, really to keep it professional. Because it's a shame that you have all this information and then you...
Well, let me tell you something. Sure. This is my first time that I'm coming out exposing all of the academia. That's why I'm writing thesis paper. That's what I'm doing. So in my normal life, I don't podcast. I don't speak to outside people of the knowledge I have. So yes, I will agree with you. I am someone, I do not have people skills, nor do I care to have people skills. Mm-hmm. But when you're telling me, if you tell me, I don't use, listen, quit ad hominem me, man. See now how he ticks me off?
It's got to be drugs, doesn't it, Gudra? Always drugs,
say
right?
something like for
Are you
just 1
using
minute?
drugs?
Can I
My
just say
God.
something for 1 minute? Like the basic of communication. Somebody says, and then you let other people speak. You don't have the basic of communication. You call Robert dumb. You call all of us here dumb. You're just showing your, I finished this, I did this paper, I did this. You're very easily triggered. You probably missed to take the medicine today. You are
You
very
see,
smart, but
ad
you are
hominem.
so arrogant.
Ad
So
hominem.
arrogant.
So
No, nothing can be
it's
heard from you.
it's understandable, Christopher, to me that Gudra and probably Robert are upset right now because of what happened. I think this is probably the first time ever other callers being in the receiving end of a yelling match, because normally it happens to me. Okay, but
It's like 15 minutes. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's like last 15 minutes, this guy is just screaming in microphone like any normal person would just mute him. He wouldn't stop talking. Like it's not normal. I don't know
yeah,
what degree he has, but he just like a woman can stop talking. I
Or
don't
ad
know.
hominem. See how he calls me a woman, like a woman? You see now why I would get upset? You would not say that to my face, Gudra. I bet you $10. I'll just pay
guys,
you $10. You would not
guys,
stand in front of me and say that to me, because I'm the kind of man where I live and where I'm from. I'd knock you the fuck out, bro.
wow, it's not. Come on,
Now it's
Christopher.
not me. That's not me being
yeah,
uneducated. That's my life, fucker.
yeah,
Don't you sit there and ad hominem me and act like you're a gangster
if
on the
you
keyboard.
continue
You're perfected on little
incite
stupid little
violence
apps.
and continue with the profanity,
He's the one that's doing it. He's the one that's doing it.
No,
He's the one
but-
calling people names.
Yeah,
Screw
but
him.
yeah,
I
but
don't care
you're
about
calling
him.
for violence and using extreme profanity.
No,
I
I'm
cannot
telling
accept.
you, if you were to do that
Christopher,
in front of me,
Christopher,
I'm telling
I
you what I would do
know
to you.
that I have people of all ages
Facts.
on the live stream. Please control yourself, man. I
Tell
told you.
him to
I
control
told you.
himself.
Christopher, I
I
told you
didn't call nobody
before.
names.
Yeah, I told you
Did I call
before
anybody names? Did I
that
call him
Hey,
names?
Robert was
people
dumb.
have
Robert
called
was
me
dumb.
names on the live
Oh, did I
stream,
call him dumb?
and I don't lose control, and
Oh,
I
Robert
don't.
I called him an uneducated man. He's uneducated.
Christopher,
If you think I'm uneducated, if I call you illiterate, and you take it as being me calling you dumb, well, you're illiterate then.
You see how easily I can trigger you. You're very weak, man.
No, you're illiterate. That's your problem. You're illiterate.
I have to finish this live stream, and I mean, I really don't want to end it in a negative connotation here. Christopher, I don't know if you're aware, but Gudra and Robert from Skeptic Philosophy are not believers.
They're called atheists. Atheists. They're called atheists.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't call myself atheist.
Yeah. That's easy. What are you, Gudra? Are you an atheist? Yeah or nay?
I'm agnostic. I don't know.
You're agnostic. He doesn't even know. Do you know the definition of agnostic?
You know, because you have degree. You're just a little man.
Wow,
with,
guys, we're not going to continue with this senseless conversation. We're not going anywhere, and nobody is learning anything from this. Christopher, we're not offering anything of value to anybody
Clearwater,
here.
I want to go back to what we were doing, right? You saw the seven spirits, the seraphim, the understanding of what Elohim is.
No.
You guys moved away from it. You moved away from it, and you changed this whole thing because you guys are scared to approach the truth.
Wow,
maybe
Christopher,
what it is.
Gudra,
You're scared,
Gudra,
and now he's going to start ad hominem again.
Can you hang up because I don't want to hang up on you?
Yeah, I'm leaving.
Thank you,
guys.
Gudra.
It was a pleasure. I'm sorry if it this go this way. This is the first time like I'm here for months.
Yeah. No worries.
I don't know.
Thank you, Gudra. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Christopher. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, we went over 16 minutes on the live stream. I really don't like to hang up this way and cut anybody. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, out of all of them, Clearwater, out of all of them, to be honest, out of all of them, you're the only one who wanted to look up something rather than just say a negative no.
When you say
that's an illiterate person. That's someone that's not seeking truth. That's an illiterate man.
When you mentioned the seraphims or something like that, man, something clicked on my head because I do remember hearing something like that when I was at church. And then that got me into following the information that you were saying. And yes, I did remember reading or hearing something at church about the 7 something lights or spirits. And then, yeah. So by looking up and researching the information, I mean, you were correct about what you were saying. I think that even if skeptic philosophy was asking you something and he was incorrect, and you being correct, Christopher, the moment you start screaming and yelling, I mean, even if you're correct, you're being incorrect. You know what? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but I didn't overreact. I knew I was correct. What I was overreacting to is here's a gentleman who's supposed to want to, have a discussion to find out the truth about something, but he immediately is biased. You know what bias means, right? He already has his mind made up. He does not even want to dive deeper into a search to find out if it may be what you have as a doctrine or what you have been taught in your religion that you once were in, if it's corrupted. That could be the very reason that you don't want to believe in a God, is because the corruption literally is illogical. That's why I got out of it. It's literally illogical, but that's not the way that it's written. From Clearwater, when you find out the truth, it's like, whoa, something else is going on here.
Yeah, Christopher, from all the people that participate in this live stream, I do not agree with you in the case of Robert from Skeptic Philosophy. I mean, the guy likes to research. Something happened there, something happened. I'm not going to judge.
He knows who I am. He knows who I am. Yeah. He came here because he saw me here. Just like a lot of people know who I am.
So, I'm wait a second, Christopher. YouTube. So what are you saying? That you guys know from before? Know each other from before?
What happens is a lot of people will take clips. I go on different podcasts and I have debates with people, okay? And I keep my channel hidden from everyone. I just pop up on people's channels and have debates with people. These people discover me, and then other people will take clips of me where I'll get millions, right? And people will be using it to make money. They only use me to make money. So they'll like say, oh, look, let's take a clip of what he said, and then we'll destroy the atheist. We'll like take a clip of what he said and then we'll destroy the Muslim, or vice versa. The Muslim will take a clip to destroy the Christian. And they'll use me and the knowledge that I have to try to just fight and war with each other. I don't approve of that. I don't like that. So this guy obviously knew I'd been around. He knew who I was. So he wants to get an ego and be boastful, and then just completely just ramble nonsense with big words that actually don't make a premise for him at all. They don't. And as you just heard him when he was discussing with Nick and other people, his premise in anything did not make any sense, because if he does not believe in what he's claiming he doesn't believe in, then how in the world can you make an argument against who does believe in something if what you already have as a belief is in a fallacy to begin with? So everything you're going to tell Nick or everything you're going to tell the other guys is based off of a fallacy that you have because you were taught a meaning or something about a word, and now you're using that to attack somebody else's belief. But to me, when I see people doing it, that's illogical. That makes no sense.
But Christopher, wouldn't it be better if you probably slow things down and explain to him how to get to the truth that you have, to the correct information?
Well, that's what I was trying to do with Nick. As you saw, remember when Nick said what he was saying, I was trying to explain to him, Nick, the Father did not kill Jesus. Humans killed that man. So when people assume that, oh, look, the Father, like even what you were saying, kind of God can go around and kill his own son. But God never did that. God never killed his own son. And now you understand what I'm saying, I hope. Men killed that man. The Father didn't kill that man.
Christopher, so one thing that I want to point out before we close the stream, I would have liked if you were right to explain it to Robert. Now we don't know. We're not going to find out.
Well, he knows my channel. He knows who I am. Trust me, they know who I am. That's why they attack me. I would have liked
for this conversation, to be clarified. I think Robert several times he have pointed out and corrected himself and say, hey, I was wrong about this. I'm going to correct myself. So I don't think the guy is like proud or something that he's, you know, he's not never wrong or anything like that. I mean, I truly think, Christopher, that you could have a good conversation with Robert.
I probably could, but only time will tell. Egos must be swallowed and pride must fall. In order to have a conversation, and I really am not like this. I only become like this when people ad hominem me. And that's what they started to do. Replay your video, you'll see they started to make a personal attack. You don't make personal attacks in a debate. But that's clearly childish.
Yeah, but one thing, I don't know, Christopher, if you by now have understand this, when we present ourselves in public places like this, you know, public forums, I mean, it's almost normal you're going to be attacked. You cannot take these things personally.
Oh, I never do. I'm like a duck in the water. All this is going.
Man, Christopher, I mean, you sounded like you were taking things personally.
Well, it sounds like that because I'm very zealous. I'm zealous of wisdom. I'm zealous for knowledge. You understand what I mean? And when I come across people who are actually illiterate, or, you know, they're playing a role that they think they're wiser than someone else, and they have no, you know, humility that maybe there's someone else wiser. Trust me, I listened to your whole presentation. I listened to it before I even, remember I came on stage, you gave 5 points a presentation. Do you want me to tell you those 5 points I actually was listening to you?
I appreciate
you understand?
that you
a lot of people are not doing it.
Yeah, I appreciate
it. And you know how many times I was trying to get off the subject that they brought up? Not me. I didn't bring up homosexuality. They did. Gouda and the other guy, not me. I kept trying to take it back to the witchcraft thing. Didn't you notice that? And they make it as if I'm the one leading the conversation. And I wasn't telling them about homosexuality. They started talking about that.
Hey,
and then they tried to flip it as if I was.
Oh, yeah, Christopher. I mean, I can tell that you know your information. Hopefully next time we have a conversation, please, let's try to keep it professional. That way we take advantage of being in these conversations, you know, and probably they go better next time. Thank you so much, Christopher, for being here, man. I go in.
Thank you, Clearwater. Thank you. Hey, this will get you clicks, buddy. This will make views big time.
But but that's not the, you know, even I tell
it's
people.
It's not the point. I understand it's not the point, but it means this. You're going to have more conversation. Different people will start coming that will have conversation, especially when they realize how. Because I've been to a lot of channels, Clearwater. You actually run a smooth channel, to be honest. A lot of other people, they just argue, fight, yell, and scream over each other, and there's no context to what they're discussing. You actually were trying to create context, and I'm aware that some people were trying to change the subject and so on and so forth. But out of a lot of them that I've been, I'll give you praise that you do run a channel where you at least try to learn, study, figure out what people mean and say before you go and start attacking people, you know, and that's very praiseworthy to do. Trust me. I've been on lots of them, and a lot of them don't do it. So yes, I'll be back. I'll be back because I understand, you know, now that I know where you're at, channel, how you're running things, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I'll be back. And if Robert wants to, you know, be a gentleman in an argument, you can be upset, but still be a gentleman about it. You can disagree, but be a gentleman. Don't ad hominem somebody.
I know that Robert from Skeptic Philosophy is a gentleman. So are you. Okay?
Yes. Yes. And I understand.
Some things, we all have days and we all have days. Okay? Let's say that this was one of those days. All right?
Right. I hear you. I hear you. And I take advice. And I admit, and I'm a man enough to admit, like I told you, and I told Robert before, no, I'm not someone that has people skills because my life has been in seclusion. I'm just now coming out publicly, and a lot of people don't understand me. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of it, but I'm trying to work on it, man. I'm working on it.
Yeah, that's
good. It.
Christopher, have a great night, my friend. I'm going to shut down this live stream. Thank you so much for being here. And hopefully you'll join next time and we have a better conversation, everybody, okay?
Thank you too, as well. Peace
Thank you,
be with you, my
Christopher.
friend. Thank you,
You
Clearwater.
too. Take care, man.
Good night.
Wow. What just happened? If you guys don't mind, let me take a deep breath. Yeah, I think, thank you so much, everybody, for hanging in there. We have passed 30 minutes from the time that we were supposed to shut down, which is 3 hours. Now it's going to be 3 hours and 30 minutes. I try to keep these conversations on the side of providing something of value. That's why I'm not too much into debates, because I don't think we learn much about debates. Most of the time, debates are like emotional and people like the stuff. I don't. A little bit debates, some here and there, but when it gets into yelling and calling names and stuff like that, I don't think we're providing anything of value. But nobody's perfect. Everybody has their days. I'm not trying to excuse anybody. I didn't like the offending part. But I don't know. Hopefully next time this conversation will go in a more valuable way. I think that Christopher knows his stuff. Like he says, he's probably lacks skills on other parts. I understand him. And of course, I have so much respect for Skeptic Philosophy, Robert, and also Gudra. I mean, even myself, I felt emotional, like doing something, but I have to, as a host, I think, to do the right thing, just take a deep breath and try to calm everybody down instead of me engaging in the hostilities. But, I don't know. I think besides everything, there was moments of good conversations and a little bit of learning. This stuff that Christopher was saying is probably, I'm not going to say the first time, because the thing that he was saying about the 7 spirits and stuff like that, I heard something like that in my years as a believer. And when he said that, something clicked. I'm like, man, I'm going to follow this information, because maybe he's BSing, maybe not. And apparently he was not BSing. I don't know if he's correct, man. All this information that Christians are following right now is upside down. Is very inaccurate. And man, there's so much conversations there that could happen. I don't know. Maybe some other day, Christopher and Robert can have a better conversation. Very, very smart guys, both of them, and hopefully we can keep it professional. I think Robert is extremely professional, and probably we can rub a little bit of that to Christopher. I think the guy is knowledgeable too, a little bit on the communication skills, but we all have our good and bad parts. So I'm not gonna judge him for whatever happened. If of course if this continues and happens over and over again, yeah, then I'll have to put an end to it. And if Redeem, I don't know what happened to you, my friend. You got also very extremely emotional, yelling and doing like, let him talk, man. I don't know. I don't know what happened with you. You taking stuff personally. You shouldn't be taking stuff personally. I don't think it's good for you. And I haven't blocked you. So you always to come back and have conversations. Try to keep it on the side of having conversations and not on the side of taking stuff personally, man. It's not good. So thank you so much for everybody. I noticed that I think it was Gen X Me Mao. I think it was you that you mentioned about Google for calls, man, I have a lot of problems. I have 3 screens, and the Discord, keeping people from attacking the Discord, and having 2 servers. I don't know if I can handle it. I prefer to focus more on the content and whatever I'm doing than having to be monitoring 2 different servers for calls. I don't know. Probably it's very easy. I'll find out, okay? So anyways, I'm out of here. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Gen X Me Mao, Joseph Stetson. I like to read your messages, but we're done. Romans 1, have a great night, my friend. Digital77, what is truth? Bullshiba, Sunnyside, TX Dab, Rich, William Graves. Of course, I don't know if Professor Hazel's still there. Thank you so much for being on the live stream. Peace be with you. Ersay 98. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night, and I'll see you again tomorrow night with another topic.